Motor never quits. That's Napa know-how.
p.m. Eastern. Buy it on ESPNplus.com/PPV. The prelims start at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app.
I'm Pablo Torre, host of the podcast ESPN Daily. Every weekday morning, I will bring you the best sports story you'll hear all day. Today on ESPN Daily, Formula One racing has been so popular overseas for so long. It's the closest thing sports gets to James Bond. So Ryan McGee gives us a crash course in Formula 101. So listen and subscribe on your favorite podcast app.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
Why are you gonna miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, happy Monday. Welcome in. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. I hope everyone enjoyed their Father's Day weekend. We're back off and rolling here on a Monday. And, well, it looks outside the way it did Friday when we left. It's cloudy, some storms in the area.
Storm coming.
How about that storm on Friday night?
Were you nervous?
At the beginning, I wasn't. So here's what happened. Like, for one, I love storms. I love thunderstorms. I love bad weather until the weather gets too bad that I lose control. Right? Like, so Friday night, I love thunderstorms. I love to sit in the garage, crack a beer, and just sit there and watch the storm roll in. And then, we're hearing all about this storm, this weather that's coming and how bad it's going to be. And then a little light rain had come through our neighborhood and then it went away. The sun came out. Just texted my buddy. I was like, this storm. And I said some inappropriate things about the storm of what it was. And not even an hour later, I'm like, oh, okay, this was the real one. This was the real storm. That was the JV game. This is the varsity game. And then, like I said, I was fine until I'm sitting in the garage, cracked a beer, and I look around. I'm like, wait a minute. It is pitch black out here, and it's only 8 o'clock. That's when I started getting a little concerned as far as that goes. But yeah, I love storms. I remember when I was in college, my friends and I, we were all idiots. We'd just run around. We'd go out and just watch the storms. But after Memorial Day 2 years ago, I do have a lot more respect for storms, and I'm not trying to make light because I know a ton of people here in the Miami Valley were impacted greatly by that. So I'm definitely not making light about those storms, but honestly, it took Memorial Day for me to really kind of, respect the weather a little bit. I don't need a storm chaser kidder. I'm already bad at one job. I don't need to be bad at another. When I'm bad at this, I leave with my life. If I'm bad at the other job, maybe not so much. So I'm just saying. But there you go. You have a good weekend.
Great weekend, man. I did something I haven't done since February of 2020. I went to the movies.
Oh, what movie did you see?
I went to go see A Quiet Place Part 2. First time being in the movie theater.
Which one is that one? I think it was.
It's a scary movie. Yeah. So,
that's not the what was the Sandra Bullock one where she had her eyes wrapped?
No, that was Bird Box. You're talking about that was on Netflix.
How different is that than what you watched? Because I think it's the same. And
it's kind of similar concept. But A Quiet Place was very good. The original part 1, and then part 2 just came out this year. Actually, it was supposed to come out last year, but then what happened, so they pushed it to this year. So it was the first time being in the movie theater. Had that expensive movie popcorn. Paid $5 for a water. Spent a ton of money at the movie theater.
Never been so happy to spend money on overpriced items.
Absolutely,
right?
Man. It was a great time, man.
I can't tell you the last time I went to a movie. It might have been Anchorman 2.
Whoa, are you serious?
That's not just a few years ago.
We talked about this before. You're not like a movie guy.
I'm not. No, maybe it was Jurassic World. Maybe I went and saw that. Either way, it's so far and few in between that, if I'm going to spend money on overpriced anything, it'll be at a Reds game or something like that, So that's kind of how I view it. But no, but I haven't been to the movie theaters with the comfortable seats, like the reclining seats.
Yes.
But I don't want it too comfortable. I don't want to fall asleep. That's the way I don't want to sit in go to a movie theater and have a reclining chair.
You want the old school movie theaters with the sticky floors and everything like that.
Yeah, like when people hear you walking in, squeak, gum and mushed Skittles to the ground sticking to your shoe as you walk in, and you hear the crunch of the, popcorn all over the place. So there you go. But nonetheless, and by the way, COVID, delayed a lot of movies and shows from coming out. I'm getting to like Better Call Saul. Is that going to come? I mean, Gus is looking. It's so funny watching Better Call Saul, which is supposed to be all held before Breaking Bad, and watching Gus look like he's 80 now. And then you watch like season 1 or season, I guess it would have been late 2, early 3 of Breaking Bad when Gus looks like he's 5, and I'm like, what in the world? This was supposed, but he
comes out February 2022.
See, it's ridiculous. Ozark.
Yes.
Sometime in the next 10 years we'll be back out.
Think how old that son is going to look.
Oh, I know. They're 19-year-old, 7-year-old kid in the show is going to be, unreal. And then what? Oh, Yellowstone. That usually comes out on Father's Day. It always premieres on Father's Day.
I have that on my DVR. I'm going to start watching that very soon.
The other one I'm a big fan of that you told me to watch was Your Honor with Bryan Cranston. Very, there's no comparisons to Breaking Bad other than the chilling character that is Bryan Cranston's character in there. I mean, it's a lot of the same. It's a lot of the same type of, real life scenarios where like you're embraced with a choice and a decision to make, and what decisions, you have to live with the repercussions of the decisions you make. But I'm a big fan of that. They did that though, to where they ended, where they don't have to make another one, but they left the door open to make another one. But there's no word on that. But if you're tuning in for sports talk, we have let you down in the first 5 minutes, and that is totally fine. Besides, I don't know why people get mad. You all say I don't know anything about sports anyway. So then when I don't talk sports, I'm trying to give you what you want. But no, in all seriousness, a day late, but happy Father's Day to everyone out there. Hope everyone had a great Father's Day weekend, and we're back off and rolling. So this is that weird time of the year where things are a little slow. Have you noticed the NFL's nothing really going on? I think the networks finally. I think Aaron Rodgers has no milk left. I think he has no milk left. I think the farmers that are ESPN, Fox, and everyone have milked that cow dry. I have not heard, until I brought his name up today, Kev, I was very amazed. I have not heard Aaron Rodgers' name once today. Now, a lot of that has to do with Magic Johnson saving the day and being basically on every network show on ESPN today. So it was just NBA talk all day. But so it's either that or they have milked the Aaron Rodgers cow dry. So we shall see. But not a whole lot going on in the NFL right now. So it's that little dry period here towards the end of June. Camp's not too far off in the distance as well, unless the Bengals decide to skip that as well. I just Googled Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers renews his membership at a Green Bay country club. There's some news.
Oh.
There's your Aaron Rodgers update.
He's coming back. He's coming back, baby.
I think he's got enough money to renew it if he wants to, even if he wastes the money.
All right. So I want to open up with this lightly again. We're going to look, there's going to be some things we touch on throughout the week. For one, how about the big news today? I mean, the NCAA, if you want to talk about, there's one side that's like overreacting to the nth degree. And then you have the guys on the other side who are like, this is no big deal. I'm right in the middle because I have no problem admitting I don't really understand all the legal mumbo jumbo that is going on with the NCAA right now. Today, the Supreme Court unanimously sided with former college players in the dispute with the NCAA about compensation. Now, the reason that this is interesting is because a lot of people right away, when you think about the ongoing battle between the NCAA, in court, is about paying players. It's really taken a side road. It's not so much about paying players anymore. I think people have not really given up on that. For one, players, we've had those stipends now, right? Like there's different kind of language now in the wording of how these players are getting money from these programs. Now it's about, NIL and everything else that's going on. But today, this became very interesting because the Supreme Court of the United States unanimously affirmed a ruling that provides for an incremental increase in how college athletes can be compensated, and also opens the door for future legal challenges that could deal a much more significant blow to the NCAA's current business model, which means their business model is free labor.
Yeah.
Free labor. The NCAA, it's a sweatshop, right? In the eyes of most. And everyone knows if you ask them about my opinion on this, what's Kinner think about this? Oh, he's pro NCAA. It's not so much pro NCAA as more of it is like, okay, there's always rules we don't like at our jobs. Just either do the job or don't do the job. Go on. Stop sitting there and complaining. We go, which is so funny because you and I spend, there's 24 hours in a day. 23 of the 24 hours, me and you just complain about about some of the weird things that we have to deal with at our jobs, right? That's kind of where we're at with that. But when it comes to this is starting to expand to the point to where We know how much money the NCAA has, but they're going to be swatting off court case after court case after court case. I can't sit here and pretend to know all the legal mumbo jumbo of what's going on right now, but it sounds like it's not good news for the NCAA. And now Mark Emmert, who, by the way, just totally disappeared during COVID. I mean, he just literally it was laissez-faire. It was hands off. He wanted nothing to do with it. Now all of a sudden he's talking about NIL, and he wants these programs and these conferences to figure it out, or he's going to do it and all this. No, this is a guy that knows his days of the way he runs the NCAA are over with, and that there's change on the horizon. And now he's trying to talk as if he's walking into the sunlight versus trying to find a different path to veer away from it. It's a very strange. This is a long rant to say I don't understand what the hell's going on, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I read it a couple of times, and we're going to have to get somebody on here way smarter than us. Dan
Murphy with ESPN will be on Wednesday.
Good.
Got that locked up.
Because I read it and I understand parts of it, but it always comes back to the NCAA and how I personally feel about the NCAA. I feel like the NCAA is an outdated model, which doesn't serve the purpose that it once did. Because, back in the day when the NCAA was created, it was about, basically almost like intramural sports for real good athletes. But it's not that anymore. We can't pinpoint the exact date where this turned into a business, a money-making business, where they get tax write-offs and things of that nature, where they're making billions upon billions of dollars and using tax write-offs. I mean, you look at how people view Amazon and the tax write-offs they get. Look at some of the tax write-offs the NCAA gets, because they're supposed to be for amateur athletes and everything like that. But they're Mark Emmert is making millions of dollars as the president, and the schools are making money and all that type of stuff. So that's what it really comes back to. That's the crux matter of it. They're basically saying, from what I understand, is you guys are making money and you have free labor, and what you're giving them as in compensation isn't equal to what you're making off of it. So, the quote unquote free education, the, textbooks and things of that nature is just not adding up. So it's definitely going to be a change in the NCAA's model of how they view amateurism, and it's going to be rolling out. And people need to calm down, because this isn't going to happen like tomorrow. Like anything that involves lawyers, it takes years. So just because the Supreme Court made this ruling today, that doesn't mean in September, college athletes are going to be making money hand over fist. I would say that this ruling, you're not going to see real change in at least 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. And the other thing with this too, this is where the speed bump in the road is going to be for both sides. Like the NCAA is going to have to change their business model, but at the same time, those claiming that you got to understand how many college athletes are there, to sit here and say that we got to find a way to dictate the value of each individual athlete. I mean, it's not even in professional sports, it's not like a going rate for professional. Right. There's a minimum, there's the vet minimum, there's the, rookie deals, everything like that. There's always a minimum, but there's no maxed out. I mean, unless you're talking about a salary cap. But what I mean is to sit here and say in professional sports, I mean, from the lowest paid athlete to the highest paid athlete is based on your value. How do you do that in college? Because here's the deal. I think that the product is more valuable than the individual athletes themselves. And what I mean by that is, if you take the stars out of the NBA, you take the stars out of the NFL, out of Major League Baseball, ratings will disappear because it's dependent on them. The NCAA, I don't think it's so much dependent on the stars as much as it is dependent on the bodies. And what I mean by that is if Duke and Kentucky and these top programs can take star after star after star, if Duke is as big with Zion as it is, or if they are as big without Zion as they are with Zion, it's their base is bigger than Zion. The NCAA is bigger than the athletes. You can't say that about the NBA. You can't, your best player can't be a JJ Redick and be a traveling, draw. So that's where I'm at with there's so much tiny little details that have to be ironed out. And,
right.
If you want to talk about Title IX and everything else that comes in with it, you have to talk about the amount of sports you have to carry to be a Division I, as far, a program and everything like that. And it's well, how do you pay track stars who don't have a draw. There's no draw. That doesn't say that they're not good at what they do. There's everything that there is to do under the NCAA umbrella. There's always an athlete that is the best at that particular sport. But if it's a sport that doesn't draw, why are we wasting our time talking about how much the athlete should be paid? So then we're going to change how much. I mean, we're going to see sports cut. I think this can honestly be shrunk down to, okay, we're done. The jig is up. We're done pretending to be track and softball and this and that and all this stuff. We're just going to football, basketball, boom, football, basketball. That's simple. And I don't know what loopholes there are. I don't know what holes are going to have to be crawled in and out and jumped in and out of. But that's really what this is going to come down to, because if dollars have to be distributed to athletes, it's going to have to be to the athletes that actually play in sports that draw the money. No more of this. The money's up top and we have to kind of let it swim down, downstream to make sure everyone's compensated. Because if find the NCAA, they're going to play hardball too and say, well, if you want us to act like a business, then we'll be a business and we're just going to fire everybody that doesn't bring something to the table. Track, see ya. Keep running, run the opposite way, and we're no longer tied in with you. That's going to be the cutthroat reality of all this. So be comfortable being uncomfortable for those of you who are fans of college sports as a whole. Be comfortable being uncomfortable, because this is the NCAA. They're not going to go down quietly. They're going to say, okay, you want us to be a business? We'll treat these guys and gals like it's a business. If you don't bring something to the table, we want nothing to do with you. And that's in our industry. That's in any industry out there, from fast food to factories to where movie theaters to whatever the industry is. Don't care. If you don't bring something to the table, they're not going to want to pay you. They're not going to want to have ties with you whatsoever. So if you're a fan of college athletics, be comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's where this is going to turn. Be careful what you ask for. Just saying.
You're 100% correct. I talk about this all the time with my brother. You know, you look at the sports that you just talked about, football and basketball, the ones that generate revenue. You know, there's schools like, Stanford, who have fencing, rowing, all these other sports that are non-generating revenue and everything like that. And, their scholarships are based off of what the football and basketball teams provide, the men's and women's basketball teams for that matter. So they get equipment, they can do fundraising and things of that nature. So, everybody's scholarship is based off of what the football team brings. And then, all right, we got some extra money because of the basketball contract, because of March Madness and everything like that. So no, obviously we don't want to see sports cut. That's not what people want. They just want a fair situation, and fair is relative. It's all in the eye of the beholder. And that's the one thing about the NCAA that has people in a tizzy. Well, not people, myself in a tizzy, about what do they deem fair? What do they deem appropriate? And what do the actual athletes, the people doing the work, deem fair? And it comes to a point where when everything's against the wall and they really don't ever have a plan. Really don't plan these things out. Like, okay, like take this past season, for example. Like, all right, everybody, you get to come back for an extra year. You could be a super senior. You get an extra year eligibility. Well, did you really plan that out? Because schools still operate at football wise, at 85 scholarship limit. So say Ohio State had 5 seniors and they decided like, yeah, I'm coming back to be a super senior. So, well, now Ohio State has 5 less scholarship spots for incoming freshmen. Things that the NCAA didn't think about, things they didn't foresee. And foreseeing in business, that's how you make money, and that's how you keep a good business going. And then the transfer portal. You and I talked about this. So if you have a transfer portal, a one-time transfer rule, you're going to see situations where teams are going to recruit less out of high school, in turn making it less scholarships available for freshmen, for high school seniors to come up to the next level of sports. So these are things that they're not looking towards. They're not seeing into the future. They're just trying to put a Band-Aid on things to keep people happy. Like, okay, well, they want to get paid. How about we just let them transfer once? All right, they want to get paid. How about we do this? They want to get paid. How do we do this? Instead of actually digging in there and actually trying to fix a problem or trying to come up with a solution, because I don't necessarily believe there's a fix, but there can be a solution to a problem, and trying to amend it as opposed to just putting these quick fixes on it and just repairing it with Band-Aids that things are eventually going to blow up in their face, like this super senior thing. Like I was reading about, I believe it's North Carolina State. they have 6 super seniors coming in, and then they took in 4 transfers. So their recruiting class is at 12. So your freshmen coming in are at 12 this year. So what does that mean for next year? And the year after that, there's a trickle down effect. There's going to be a roll that keeps rolling. So the NCAA never foresaw this. They just said, all right, you do this and everything's good, right? Well, no, it's not, because you didn't think about the bad part about it. So you just made this ruling so quickly, as opposed to
Rona.
Hopefully not. I got my shots. Maybe I'm not a Chris Paul situation, but like I'm saying, like, they don't have foresight.
Yeah, and keep in mind the other thing too, the NCAA, it's not so right. They don't have foresight, but they also don't care, because what they did was, they are the kings of look. They really got exposed during COVID, because what they had done was, I mean, we're talking the peak of COVID. It wasn't even peak COVID yet. It was still the uncertainty of COVID, of what exactly was going on. Mark Emmert came back and said it's going to be up to every conference to decide. So, like, you get paid more than anyone else under the NCAA umbrella to make big decisions, and your choice of a big decision of how to handle it was, you Big Ten, you figure it out. SEC, ACC, American Conference, Horizon League, A10, it doesn't matter. Y'all figure it out. Right. So you get paid billions and billions of dollars. That's an exaggeration. But the point is, you get paid all that money just to say, yeah, I'm not going to come up with a universal decision. And to be fair to that, to the extent, it's difficult to find a universal decision, because every conference operates differently under each rules. But the problem is,
but you can be a mediator and bringing people together and they try to talk it out.
Yeah,
he's not doing that. He's hands off, like you said.
Yeah, I'm going to go to my office, and if y'all need me, call me. But really, you shouldn't call me, because there's nothing I can do for you. I have no answers for you. So just y'all figure it out. Just let me know. Turn in your final projects, email them to me, and I'll send you your grades later. That's exactly what happened here. And that's what's going to happen, with this. And the problem is the NCAA, Mark Emmert, they're like, well, fine, everyone gets an extra year of eligibility. Yeah, but what about this? Not for me to figure out. You. Yeah. Coaches, athletic directors, conferences, you figure it out.
Because that money has to come from somewhere.
Now, coaches, if you have 5 seniors and they all want to come back, now you get to tell them to go F themselves. You get to tell those 5 seniors, yeah, we don't want you back.
Mm-hmm. And that's
you have to make the tough decisions. Mark Emmert's just like, he's just sitting there with his feet up in his office. It's up to these coaches who don't, no one feels bad for coaches who are making money, but now these coaches are having to make the tough decisions of cutting guys who have been with the program their entire careers. Right. And that's the reality of it. It's everyone else has to make the cutthroat decisions during these times, and not the NCAA. But what a bad year for the NCAA. I'm going back to women's basketball, the nightmare that was with the weight room incident. And not just the weight room. I mean, like I said, if you look at what the women's basketball players are being fed at the NCAA tournament, it was TV dinners. It was like Salisbury steak TV dinners, where you
lonely man dinner.
Yep. You take your fork and you pop holes in it before you warm it up so that the steam can warm up the God knows whatever the food is that's in there. Then you pull back the film to eat it. While the men are walking through buffet lines of some of the nicest prime rib and steak and burgers and everything else. Unbelievable. Bad exposure there. You go to the volleyball NCAA tournament. Not a lot of people follow volleyball, but you know what they did there? They said, hey, we're going to have cameras in the gym. The cameras will be shooting down at the gym, and you can watch it on ESPN3, but there's going to be no broadcasters. So it's basically like someone just went on Facebook Live with their phone up in the top of the gym and just, hopefully you could figure out where your daughter is, or hopefully you could figure out where your cousin is, or your neighbor, or whoever. That was bad exposure for them. And even as recently as baseball, seeing the NCAA, they treat all athletes bad, not just the women. The men, they were for the baseball, World Series, or the college baseball World Series, or I should say the super regionals at this point. They weren't letting local media follow the teams. They weren't giving them credentials. They were not letting them in. It's like every time the NCAA would zig and zag, they are just being faced with criticism, and it's all on them. I don't feel bad for them, but this is a very interesting little time period in the history of the NCAA. Where will we go? Teams might have to reclassify to be D1. Forget conferences, but I mean, it might come down to, if you have to pay college athletes, well, we can't afford to pay for 12 sports. We can't afford to pay an athlete in all 12 sports. Well, then if that's the case, you have to reclassify. You're now Division II, or you can't carry athletics. It's that simple. This is going to be a very strange time moving forward.
That's why the NLI is so important, because they're going to use that. That's why Mark Emmert's saying figure it out, because he's going to use that as like, they can do whatever they want to do with their name, image, and likeness, and that'll be that. And they won't have to come up with any money. And you know what? Ultimately, if they can come come to a situation with the NLI, that might be the best move for the NCAA. It might be the best move for the student athletes as well.
All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. We'll get back into that more this show and throughout the week. So, yeah, I'm excited to kind of see that. Not excited. I'm actually concerned. I love our local college athletics around here. This can impact them greatly. Like, you know what I mean? Like this, especially, we're talking 2 basketball schools here in the area. One program does generate a ton of money, but are they going to generate enough money to be able to remain where all the other big dogs are? We don't know. We have no answers to any of those questions. A lot of uncertainty ahead. Speaking of a lot of uncertainty ahead, let's talk a little Cincinnati Reds baseball. 3 steps forward, 4 steps back. The Cincinnati Reds sweep the Milwaukee Brewers, and everyone's happy. Kinner, were you ready to admit you were wrong about David Bell? And I should have just said, I'll get back to you on Monday. And had I done that, I would have looked very intelligent. So the Reds sweep the Brewers in 3 on the road. They come within 2 games of the wild card, 2 games of the NL Central, and then they get swept by the dang Padres.
The dad.
They lose 4 straight.
5-day weekend.
3 steps forward, 4 steps back. Your reaction to the Reds' tough weekend. We'll get to that next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be cloudy and windy with showers and thunderstorms, a high near 80. Tonight's also going to be cloudy with showers and thunderstorms, a low near 53. And tomorrow will be partly cloudy, a high near 70. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane, making buying propane easy since 1952, offering budget billing and pre-buy options. Find out more at culletpropane.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/hire. That's ZipRecruiter.com/hire.
Let's be real. Mopping is a hassle. You have to fill the bucket, pushing a wet, heavy mop around, then cleaning the mop when you're done so it doesn't grow bacteria. A hassle on top of a hassle. Try Swiffer Wetjet. With Swiffer Wetjet, you start with a fresh pad and cleaning solution every time. And when you're done, you just toss the pad. Swiffer Wetjet, the faster, easier, cleaner way to clean your floors.
Allstate is known for quality insurance, but you might not know them for low rates. That's about to change. With Allstate, you can save up to 25% when you bundle your home and auto. You know what else you might not know? The chicken came before the egg. With Allstate, you can lower your rates, not your expectations. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company, Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company, and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
This is a metaphor for your business's journey. Sometimes it feels like the world is throwing everything it has at you. And to succeed, you need someone to guide you through. That's what Dell Technologies Advisors do. They have the tech advice to help you navigate whatever challenges you're up against and get you safely to where you want to be. For advice on solutions like XPS 13 laptops powered by Intel Evo platform, call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be signs that your digestive system isn't working at its best? But taking Metamucil every day can help.
Metamucil supports your daily digestive health using a special plant-based fiber called psyllium. Psyllium works by forming a gel in your digestive system to trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Metamucil's gelling action also helps to promote heart health and slows down sugar absorption to promote healthy blood sugar levels. Start feeling lighter and more energetic by taking Metamucil every day.
Tired of deciding what to cook tonight? Frickers is ready when you are with everyone's favorite ribs and frickin' chicken chunks. Tender baby back ribs and frickin' chicken chunks, only $12.99 dine-in only. Take the day off as kids 10 and under eat free every day. And you can relax and let Frickers take care of everything. Baby back ribs, frickin' chicken chunks, and kids eat free at the one place that makes lunch, dinner, or late night easy. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Baby back. Baby back.
Mow like a pro with Hustler Turf zero-turn mowers. They engineer their mowers to be maintenance and service friendly for the everyday homeowner while not sacrificing the build and cut quality they're known for. From the heavy-duty frame to the welded steel deck to their trademark smooth track steering, Hustler Turf zero-turn mowers deliver professional grade cut quality for a perfectly manicured lawn. Come in to Small Engine Service Pros to see the Hustler difference for yourself today. Small Engine Service Pros, 2030 North Dayton Lakeview Road, Route 235 in New Carlisle.
Summer's here, and Rob's Beer Barn is in full summer refreshment mode. That means Rob's Beer Barn has you covered for all of your outdoor gatherings. At Rob's, you can find all the refreshments you'll need. Ice-cold craft beers, imported, local, and seasonal beers, fine wines, snacks, and ice. Rob's has it all. And if you find you're in need of any last-minute items, you can call, walk in, or drive through. Stop in and visit Rob's and stock up for the summer. Rob's Beer Barn on Indian River Road at Darst, just a mile east of the Green. Rob's Beer Barn, just look for the Beaver.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Service Manager, Germain Honda of Beaver Creek. When you need service, we're here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays from 6 to 8 and Saturdays from 7 to 5. We proudly offer a state-of-the-art facility with factory-trained technicians, clean waiting room, and service department. Loaner cars are available during service and free alignment checks with any service. Be sure to stop in and ask for our $39.95 oil change special. Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, State Route 35, east of 675, between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
Guys, stop putting your love life on hold. U.S. Pharmacy has some exciting news. If you've been wanting to try Viagra or Cialis, now's the perfect time. Call today and receive 90 little blue or little yellow pills for only $119 with free shipping. Why order some low-dose sildenafil from one of those subscription services when we can give you what you want now? Call 800-990-6271 and we'll rush your order discreetly packaged to your door. Been thinking about trying Viagra or Cialis? Call U.S. Pharmacy at 800-990-6271 for as little as only $119 for 90 pills. Need your package in a hurry? Call 800-990-6271 and ask about our express shipping option, and we'll rush your order to you as soon as possible. Save money on the little blue or yellow pill you've been wanting to try. Again, 800-990-6271 now. That's 800-990-6271.
Don't wait to get a new job. Express Employment Professionals is hiring for more than 35,000 jobs. Find your local Express office at expresspros.com or on the Express Jobs app.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzzed driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says I'm a catch more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots. He's Dayton's own Keith Byers. Hang out with him every Monday at noon on the Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. college football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, we are back. I'm Justin Kinner with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's home of the Cincinnati Reds, 1410 Wing AM. And yeah, representing Wright State. Right?
You know it.
Actually, we both wore Wright State shirts today. Wright State basketball shirt on top of that. But speaking of those Cincinnati Reds, again, we are Dayton's home of the Cincinnati Reds. And I want to open up with some Cincinnati Reds as we welcome you back in. 3 steps forward, 4 steps back. The Cincinnati Reds had cut it to within 2 games of the NL Central, which many of you don't really, most people will say, who cares, it's June. For a team that usually is dead and buried by the end of April for every single season going back to 2013, it has been enjoyable to watch a team that looks to be going on a run at times and you get sucked in and then it's like, oh man, then they lose 7 straight at a certain stretch and then you check out and then they win 6 straight. They take 4 straight at St. Louis. I mean, we know the Reds' history with St. Louis. They always have struggled to beat St. Louis. And for them to do it, not just against St. Louis, but at St. Louis is a huge deal. And then, of course, they lose the series to the Brewers after that. And then they take care of the Rockies, and then they continue that winning streak into Milwaukee, where they take 3 straight at Milwaukee, who's first place. I mean, like that right there was what got everyone sucked in, who bought in, including, I can't make fun of people, me. It wasn't that I had bought in like not a World Series team, but I was like, okay, David Bell is pushing the right buttons. And just because they have gone backwards since that Brewers series, I don't think it's David Bell not pushing the right buttons. Baseball, Kev, I will say this. I'm very critical of David Bell, but I think that baseball, of all the sports, baseball is the most difficult to pinpoint struggles to coaching. Mm-hmm. Like, football, you could kind of say similar things, but at the same time, coaching, you'll always be blamed. That's the nature of it, by the way. So when people try pulling that with me it's not David Bell's fault that the front office didn't go get a shortstop. It's not David Bell's fault that they don't have, that they have the worst bullpen in baseball. It's not David Bell's fault that Eugenio Suarez is like on the worst stretch of his career. I know that it is not David Bell's fault for any of those things. It's not Doc Rivers' fault in the NBA playoffs that Ben Simmons can't hit a free throw, that Tobias Harris can't hit a jump shot. It's not. But the reality is that the blame always goes to the coach. The blame will always go to the manager. And that's just, how it's always been since the history of, sports. So I've never understood those who like to take that stance. However, they're not necessarily wrong. But with this, what I don't want to hear is that, man, David Bell, like 4 games ago, Kev, everyone was spewing at me on Twitter and everything. David Bell's already the favorite to win National League Manager of the Year. And I was like, I'm not willing to go there, but I don't want to. Don't come at me with that and set me up to have to badmouth David Bell, because right now is a rare opportunity for me to praise him for the Reds' run up into that point. So I didn't get sucked into that, but I thought that was a bit of an overreaction. But what you cannot do is when the Reds play well with deficiencies, you can't say, oh man, Manager of the Year. And then when they start losing with those deficiencies, then say, it's not David Bell's fault. You can't only, you know what I mean? Yeah. You can't only be praised when things are going well, and it doesn't make you immune to being criticized when things aren't going well. That's what drives me nuts when it comes to this. Now, this is simple. It's very simple. The bullpen. The bullpen is exactly why they have lost the games that they have. I'm not going to go on this rant and do the typical Kinner and blame David Bell. David Bell is no different to me right now than what he was during the 6-game win streak, during the sweep of the Cardinals and the Brewers, and he's no different to me now after losing 4 straight to the Padres. The bottom line is that's who this team is. I've been saying it from the beginning of the season. This is an 85-win team. Now, that sounds like a lot of wins. I remember everyone giving me crap for that. They're not going to win 85 games. That's a lot of games. That's 500 ball.
Yep.
That's 500 ball. Like, this is a 500 ball club, and this is what you're going to get. You're going to get winning streaks. You're going to get losing streaks. You're going to experience highs of highs and lows of lows. The bottom line is this isn't just on David Bell. This isn't just on the bullpen. And people want to point the finger up to Bob and Phil Castellini, but the bottom line is it's not just on them either. This is just a very average ball club, which, by the way, is still significantly better than what this team was going back to 2013. For the last 7-8 years, we've dealt with a rebuilding ball club. And I have always said that a rebuild does not end when you start winning. sometimes a rebuild just results in it was a bad rebuild. I think the Reds were a bad rebuild. But what you can't do is praise the Castellinis for spending money and bringing in guys like Nick Castellanos and Nick Moustakas, who's on the 60-day IL, which is unfortunate, and getting, Trevor Bauer at the time and Sonny Gray. And, they bring in Wade Miley, who's been honestly probably their second best pitcher this season, maybe their best as far as most consistent. Yeah, he's been their Wade Miley's actually been their best pitcher. As crazy as that sounds, I will give Luis Castillo a ton of credit. He's back. His numbers are back. The results aren't back from a win-loss standpoint, but he put them in position to win yesterday, and that's all you can ask for from your starters at this point in the way baseball is played. The bottom line is I don't know how I feel about losing 4 straight. What I will not put up with is the loser's mentality of, well, it was fun to be in those games. It was, like that. That's what drove me nuts. Remember on Friday, I brought that up about David Bell in the post game after the game 1 loss to the Padres. Man, that was just an exciting game to be a part of. What? I can tell you I was a part of a lot of exciting games throughout my loser little high school career, Kev. Okay? I'm being that guy. But none of them are losses. Like, that's what's crazy to me. Who cares about? It was an exciting loss. It's like Michael Scott on The Office. Oh, I love inside jokes. I hope to be a part of one someday. That's David Bell. Oh man, I love wins. I hope to be a part of one someday. Give me a break.
Let me ask you this: if the Reds make the wild card,
you're struggling. You don't. The whole time you're sitting there not talking, you don't cough. You start talking and blah.
This apple I ate. But no, if the Reds make the wild card and lose, is that a successful season?
To me, yes. To me, yes. I mean, look, and again, it sounds like I'm being a hypocrite after just saying, oh, I hope to be a part of one. Your goal is to always win a World Series. But this team's not built to win a World Series. Bottom line, it wasn't built to win a World Series last year. I thought last year their chances were greater when you had Sonny Gray and, Luis Castillo and Trevor Bauer being the main guy in that. And if there was a healthy Wade Miley. But this year, they're going to be an 80 to 85 win team. They're going to be flirting with that. By the way, the wild card, they cut it to within 2. They're now 5 games back of the wild card. They're 4 games back of the division. It's only June. We saw the Reds make up a ton of games in 10 days. They're going to do it again. They're going to cut it to within a game or 2 again, and then they're going to drop back 3 or 4 again. And this is going to be an emotional roller coaster for Reds fans as we sit here past the midway point in June, and we're heading into July. The trade deadline's coming up on July 30th. I have no clue what their mindset's going to be heading into that. However, it will all determine where they are at within the standings. If they could stay within 3 games, they could potentially be buyers. If they're right now at 4 and it could potentially get worse, it could all go downhill from here. I have no clue. But every week, this is a different ball club. Every week, it's a different narrative when it comes to this team. But we are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube. Head to YouTube, search ESPN Dayton, subscribe, watch us live, and you can leave your opinion in the comment section. The same thing on Facebook. Everyone has Facebook. So search The Justin Kinner Show, like, subscribe, follow along, and jump in the chat section. And that's where we're going to go now. You've heard our takes on this. I want to get to everyone's take right here. On the Facebook side of things. Ryan Strauss on Facebook says, my reaction to the Reds getting swept is it's such an Ohio sports team thing to do. They get you reeled in, and after a couple of big victories, then back to mediocrity, which is acceptable to the Reds organization. It's acceptable to maybe not you, Ryan, but to most Reds fans. Reds fans, I love you. The passion's there. The history of this organization goes back. I mean, you think about the Big Red Machine and the World Series in the 90s, but we're going on 30 plus years without. I mean, what was the most significant memory we have of postseason action with the Reds is the collapse in the playoffs against the Giants and some other teams. This isn't your grandpa's Reds. This may not be it's not your dad's Reds team anymore. This is our Reds team, and it's a Reds team to forget. So it's our fault, because when I go to social media, maybe not you, Ryan, but on Twitter and others, I mean, Nick Kirby and others who I like Nick, I respect Nick. He is a big buyer. He believes into the advanced analytics, and maybe he's right. Maybe I just don't like him because I can't understand. I don't like the advanced analytics because I can't understand them. Yes, you're right. That's why I didn't like a lot of things in college, to be quite honest with you. But the bottom line is for him to go on Twitter, I couldn't respect his response of saying, oh man, that wasn't the result we wanted, but that was a fun 4-game stretch. You got swept. That's a problem.
Yeah, that's something you say when you're not a fan of a team, like the Nets and Bucks series. I'm not a fan of either team.
It's a fun series. Yeah,
I'm there to watch some great basketball, and I got entertained. But when you're a fan, or you're like the voice or the reporter for the club, that's not what you want to hear from a fan base. You want to hear like, man, that sucks. We got to do better. We got to get over the hump. We can't do this. We can't do X, Y, and Z. We got to do this better. We got to do that better to get over the hump and everything like that. Being a part of a great series and everything like that, that's something you can reflect on after your career is all said and done. Like, you hear Charles Barkley talk about, epic battles he's had with Michael Jordan, or epic battles he had when he played with the Rockets versus the Lakers and everything like that. He talks about that post-career, not as the career is going on. He's like, look, man, I'm trying to win. Not only win games, but I'm trying to win a chip. So, hearing that type of rhetoric is quite scary if I was a Reds fan, to be perfectly honest, because when the team that I root for in baseball, the Cleveland Baseball Club, blew a 3-1 lead to the Cubs, trust me, I wasn't like, oh, man, what a game 7, man. I was crying. I was in tears, because we lost, and we lost our opportunity to win a World Series. So being a part of a great game isn't the goal. You don't want to be a part of a great game unless you win. I'm a Syracuse basketball fan. Everybody remembers the 6 overtime game versus UConn. I'm happy that I stayed awake during that entire game only because we won. We talk about Dame Lillard a lot on this show because I'm a Dame fan. He dropped that 55 points, 12 assists, 8 rebounds, it all for naught because they lost. He's not bragging. You didn't hear him in the post-game press conference like, yeah, well, I dropped 55 and only missed 4 shots. I was out there balling. He was like, it don't matter because we lost. So being a part of a great game or having an epic performance doesn't matter unless you actually pull it off and get the W.
Yeah, and that is all that matters at the end of the day. It is all about winning. Brian McCoy on Facebook, and great points, Kev. Brian McCoy on Facebook says, let's face it, the baseball manager position is the most overrated coaching position in sports. They get way too much credit for the success and way too much criticism for losing. Baseball success is determined in the scouting of future stars and the front office decision makers. For the most part, they, the managers, can only cook with the ingredients that are delivered to them. And that's where this conversation becomes interesting because it's true. Like David Bell, you're clearly losing because of the bullpen. Are there things you could do differently? Here's where my mentality comes in, and this may be too simplistic of a thought for a professional sport, which is why managers are paid the big bucks, and I'm here at WING in Dayton, Ohio. The bottom line is if your bullpen is the worst in baseball, why are you going to your bullpen so early in games? Even if the analytics are showing that your starting pitcher is starting to lose a little velocity as the game goes on, even if the numbers show that third time through the order could be pretty costly, wouldn't you trust your starters who are theoretically your best arms? You can't always manage the game as it is intended to be managed today. When you're right. Real quick, I need to rewind a little. When Brian McCoy said that, you can only cook with the ingredients that you are delivered. Well, if you are not given the proper ingredients, sometimes you have to, be quick on your feet. You have to do things differently, right? You don't just continue cooking the recipe without it because it could ruin the whole thing. That's what David Bell's doing. He's continuing to cook the recipe even without the ingredients that's needed, instead of maybe finding other ways to create a little bit extra seasoning here, to create a little bit extra taste here. The bottom line is, David Bell, you have the worst bullpen in baseball. Maybe if you wear out your pitchers before the end of the season, so be it. Give yourself a shot. So why is your bullpen averaging 3.8 innings per night and your starters are averaging 5.3? Why is your bullpen and your starters averaging pretty much the same amount of innings? Stop doing it. Let your starters run the game a little bit longer. Keep them in the game longer. I don't care about pitch counts, any of that. What are you saving them for? Oh, we can't keep them out there for 7. We need to make sure that their arms are rested. For what? Meaningless baseball in September? At least give yourself a shot to be eliminated later in the season as opposed to in April, May, and June. Too simplistic of a thought process, but you can't cook the recipe as is and just skip steps because you don't have the ingredients. You sometimes got to create your own, and you got to create your own recipe. You got to create your own way of doing things. And David Bell is continuing to follow the recipe without all of the ingredients instead of just saying, I'm going to come up with my own meal. Stop following it by the book. Stop doing whatever the other damn team in baseball does. I'm tired of it. There's a way to do it. There's a way to do it if you look at what the Rays do. Look at what the Yankees do. Look at what those teams have the pieces. Those teams, maybe the Yankees are a bad example this year, but you guys see my point. Those teams have the ingredients. The reason that their meals come out looking so perfect and tasting so perfect is because they have all the ingredients. David Bell, you don't. So why would you cook the same damn meal the same damn way as the other guys who have all the ingredients? You got to find a way to do it in a way that you can succeed, because doing it the right way, the today way, isn't working. Stop going to your bullpen in the 6th damn inning. Stop it. Extend the game. Well, the starter's starting to lose a little velocity. Okay. I would rather lose my game with my best pitchers instead of going to the crap bullpen that they have. So that's why I'm like, when it comes to David Bell, you're right. Can't necessarily blame him for everything because he doesn't have the same ingredients as everybody else when it comes to stepping in the kitchen to make a 3-course meal. But you know what? You have to find a way to make it work, and continuing to follow the recipe with all the ingredients when you're missing some and expecting the results to come out the same as the best teams in baseball, it's not going to happen. It's not going to work. Find a way to make it work. But yeah, that's where I'm at with that. It's very frustrating as far as that's concerned. But Brian brings up a good point. And real quick, Scott Campbell says, if the Reds make it to the wild card and lose, then that's a failure. We need a playoff series win at minimum. Scott, I only disagree because this team has deficiencies, and if they can get to the wild card with the worst bullpen in baseball, that's an accomplishment in itself. But we can't sit there and acknowledge all the deficiencies and then ignore the results at the end. Like we do that in the NBA playoffs right now. I'm laughing at how no one expects if the Nets were healthy, the Bucks were never going to beat that Nets team fully healthy, right? So if the Nets would have beat the Bucks, we'd say, oh man, that Bucks team's a failure. No one expected them to. Well, me and you did at the beginning. But the point is,
I got it right though.
No one really expects that Antetokounmpo and the rest of the team, without a real big second star, could beat the 3 All-Stars out of the Nets. We know that they're not going to beat the Nets, but then actually we did this with LeBron. We knew that LeBron's Cavs weren't good enough to beat Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson and that whole group. But yet we knew they weren't good enough to beat him, but we all sat here and waited. And then when the Warriors won, we did the whole, oh man, LeBron, he just sucks. He can't get it done. What the result was what it was supposed to be. The Warriors were favored to win that. So the Reds, they're not supposed to make the playoffs. They're not supposed to be good because of that bad bullpen. Well, if they get to the wild card, that is a success in itself, all things considered. We can't sit there and point out all the deficiencies, but then ignore those deficiencies when the result's not what we want at the end of the year. That's the music. I got to step aside. But Brian brings up a good point that I wanted us to think about during the break. What is the hold on, let me make sure I'm asking this correctly. He says, let's face it, the baseball manager position is the most overrated coaching position in sports. Do you agree with that? What is the most overrated coach? What's the most meaningless position as far as coaching is concerned in professional sports? Is it basketball? Is it the NBA? Is it Major League Baseball? Is it the NFL? Which sport does coaching mean the least, and which sport does coaching mean the most? Thank you, Brian, for dropping that on us. We'll get to that on the other side. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Milano's Pizza Subs and Taps' new summer menu is the perfect pairing to the Big on Tap beer selection. Try your favorite craft beer with a bacon cheddar cheesesteak or a new Milano's Pizza choice. See the summer menu now at milanosubs.com.
It's time for some straight talk. You've got real work to do, but everyone's sucking up the free Wi-Fi faster than a Mocha Choco Double Frap on ice. So be your own hotspot. Now with Straight Talk Wireless, get 10 gigs of hotspot data with the Ultimate Unlimited plan. Just $55 a month on America's largest and most dependable networks. You don't have to find a hotspot. You are the hotspot. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
Compatible device required. See straighttalk.com.
Goodyear knows the importance of keeping momentum as you head down the stretch. Momentum starts with movement. It's pulled from the air like a contested rebound. Momentum builds with steals and fast breaks, and is proven by deep threes as the shot clock expires. Momentum is how we change the game, and now it's time to discover where it can take us. Goodyear, more driven.
The outdoor drama Tecumseh is back this summer. The drama, the history, and the spectacle make Tecumseh one of Ohio's most beloved traditions. Tecumseh has provided thrilling live entertainment for 50 years, and the outdoor theater at Sugarloaf Mountain will provide a safe and memorable experience for your entire family. Get tickets now at tecumsehdrama.com. This message is made possible in part by the Ohio Arts Council. Tecumseh, experience the drama.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Need a U.S. passport? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Visit one of our convenient auto title locations in Huber Heights, Clayton, downtown, Moraine, and Centerville. Make us your first destination before you travel abroad. No appointments ever needed. We do passports.com for more info.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 Macoil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Goodyear knows the importance of keeping momentum as you head down the stretch. Momentum starts with movement. It's pulled from the air like a contested rebound. Momentum builds with steals and fast breaks, and is proven by deep threes as the shot clock expires. Momentum is how we change the game, and now it's time to discover where it can take us. Goodyear, more driven.
It's time for some straight talk. You've got real work to do, but everyone's sucking up the free Wi-Fi faster than a Mocha Choco double frap on ice. So be your own hotspot. Now with Straight Talk Wireless, get 10 gigs of hotspot data with the ultimate unlimited plan. Just $55 a month on America's largest and most dependable networks. You don't have to find a hotspot. You are the hotspot. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
Compatible device required. See straighttalk.com.
There's nothing better than a fresh-made home-style meal, but not everyone loves the hassle of cooking. At Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, home-style happens here with our famous 12-piece family meal at a great price. This famous family meal includes 12 mixed pieces of Lee's fresh, never-frozen chicken that is honey-dipped, hand-breaded, and cooked to perfection, plus 3 large sides and 6 fluffy biscuits. Get a home-style meal made easy today with Lee's 12-piece family meal at a great price. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
Menards has everything you need to make your home a better place to live. Save big money on all the top products from Procter & Gamble, like Tide laundry detergent, Downy fabric softener, Bounty paper towels, and more. Right now, get 11% off all Procter & Gamble products. Get 11% off everything. Now at Menards. Good through June 26th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
At Panera, dinner is hot and ready to serve. Bring home Panera's cheesy flatbread pizzas, toasty sandwiches, or creamy mac and cheese with delivery or pickup. Availability and pricing may vary.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
Got a project to do? Use the right equipment and rents from Arts Rental Equipment. With over 50 years experience, Arts has the best selection, delivery, and service, plus 15 Arts locations. Work smart. Rents from Arts.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
O'Reilly. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, get up to a $15 gift card after mail-in rebate when you purchase select Superstart batteries. With the power and capacity your vehicle demands, Superstart batteries are designed for lasting performance and consistent starts. Turn the key with confidence with Superstart batteries only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hi, Pikachu here to tell you that if you're looking for the very best selection of your favorite garden plants, we grow over 125 varieties of tomatoes, peppers, cabbage, broccoli, cucumber, okra, cantaloupe, and eggplants. And if you haven't tried our famous Neighbor Beater tomato plants, come out and pick up a few and enjoy the best taste you ever had from your garden. They taste so good, you'll wish you planted more. And remember, Neighbor Beater garden plants are sold only at our garden center at 1309 Grand Pike. So get off that shovel and start digging. It's time for gardens, bedding plants, rose bushes, vines, and ground covers, shade trees and shrubs, bird baths and fountains, and so much more. So join the green revolution and come out and see us at 1309 Grand Pike.
This is the sound of a popular American motorcycle. It's the sound of freedom, the open road, really good times. And this is what it sounds like with a drunk guy in it. How do you like the sound of that? Cops are cracking down on drunk motorcycle riders. If you ride drunk, you will get caught and you will get arrested. Drunk riding, over the limit, under arrest. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Transportation.
Homestead Feed and Supply is proud to introduce a new product line straight from Texas. Stock Show Secret Products and Flex Appeal. Make your project look the best. Only available at Homestead Feed and Supply. New Carlisle. Tell them the Colonel sent you.
D-Max, home of the Duramax diesel engine, is hiring for skilled trades and production. They're holding a job fair at Golden Gate Park in Brookville on Thursday, June 24th from noon to 5 p.m. Former GM employees are encouraged to attend and apply for D-Max openings. Contractors, use the right equipment for your project and rent from Arts Rental Equipment. No storage, no maintenance, no hassle. 15 Arts locations and online at artsrental.com. Work smart. Rents from Arts.
Don't wait to get a new job. Express Employment Professionals is hiring for more than 35,000 jobs. Find your local Express office at expresspros.com or on the Express Jobs app.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, Orion Sports Medicine brings us the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, live here on Dayton's home of the Cincinnati Reds, 1410 Wing AM. Kev, when you move over just to your left, just a tad more, keep going, keep going. Take it back now, y'all. 2 hops this time. There we go. There we go. For those that's, he was just a little out of the picture as we're live on Facebook and we're live on YouTube. So he's back in the camera now. So we are good to go. We're off and rolling. Hour number 2. We, of course, closed out hour number 1 talking about your Cincinnati Reds. And again, as we talked about, it was, 3 steps forward, 4 steps back. I was proud of that headline today, by the way. I don't know. I'm sure someone else has had to have used it, but I feel like I made that up, and it was a perfect time. 3 steps forward, 4 steps back. After a 3-game sweep over the Milwaukee Brewers, first-place Brewers, the Reds had cut in the division deficits within 2 games. They were 2 games back of the wild card. Now, all of a sudden, you look at the standings, come back to work after a Father's Day weekend. Now they're 4 games back in the division. They're 5 games back of the wild card, and now we're right back where we started just last week. I will say that's what makes baseball fun, and I will say that as negative as a lot of people are being about this Reds team, I will take this at the very least over what we've seen the last 7 years, where the team is dead and buried by the end of April. We talk about this team as if they're the biggest joke in baseball. Their bullpen might be the biggest joke in baseball, but overall, this is still a very fun team to watch. Right now, they have 2 potential starters for the National League come All-Star game next month, and Nick Castellanos and Jesse Winker. They are right now sitting in 2nd and 3rd as far as most votes for the National League for outfielders. So, again, these guys, they have the stars. They have the star power. They still have Joey Votto, who's not Joey Votto of old. He's little old Joey Votto, but he's played well since coming off the IL. It was a hell of a story over the weekend, by the way. He got ejected during one of the games against the Padres. For his I'm just critical of Votto's play. I like Joey. He's a star. I bought a Votto jersey way back in the day, like 5-6 years ago, but it seems like way back in the day. I like Joey Votto, and I thought that what we saw over the weekend with the little girl that was in tears because Votto had got thrown out, and she was a Reds fan in San Diego, excited to watch Votto and the Reds. So when he got ejected, this little girl was in tears. The camera caught it, and good for Joey Votto because word got to him that there was a visual of this little girl crying because he had got ejected. He had signed a baseball. Sorry, I didn't play the whole time. Got her that baseball, and then had the family and her return the next day. Had some kick-ass seats right by the Reds bullpen. He was over there signing some items for her, and to see her reaction, it was so dang cool. She literally lost her mind when she, when Votto approached her and was signing items, and then they took a picture, and she was cheesing from ear to ear. It was so cool. So I do want to pinpoint that. But again, this team could be a lot worse off than where they are right now. They are where I thought they would be. I said from the beginning, they're an 85-win team this season. I still think they'll be between 80 to 90 wins. It's a 500 ball club. That's who they are. They're going to win a lot. They're going to lose a lot. They're going to go on some win streaks. They're going to go on some losing streaks. The problem that I think the reason people are frustrated is because sometimes when you're a 500 ball club, you might be 1 or 2 pieces away from being a 90 to 100 win team. Right. And I think that's where a lot of the frustration is coming from amongst the Reds doubters and the Reds, critics out there. And again, you are completely right. But I will say this too. I was like, let's be patient and get to the trade deadline and see what they do. But Kev, have you ever, and again, I guess you're playing the leverage card and I get that too, but at the same time, I've never understood why the Reds and a lot of teams wait until the trade deadline to make a move. Mm-hmm. Now, this is coming from someone like me who, hey, Kenner, if you can get me that calendar, if you can get me the schedule by the end of the week, that'd be great. And I'd get it to you on Friday. And there's no reason why I probably can't get it to you today. But, here at my job, they asked me to get them something by the end of the week, and I could easily get it to them today, and I'm probably going to wait till Friday to get it to them. Not out of spite, but that's how I'm wired. So I find it kind of funny that I'm sitting here criticizing the Reds for waiting until the exact deadline. That's why I was 8 years in college, because I played the deadline game, and sometimes I lost. And I'm 8 years in college and no doctorate. So there's that. But the bottom line is, I don't get why teams wait until the deadline. If your bullpen's bad, address it now. Why aren't the Reds going now? Because we just saw it. They cut it to within 2 of the wild card and the NL Central lead, right? Heading into the weekend. And within a 2-day stretch, Kev, they are now 4 games back and 5 games back. You can lose it quickly. Yeah. Why, if your bullpen's bad now, go get bullpen help now. Why are you going to wait till the deadline? Now, you could say, well, you're at the mercy of the other team. Maybe the other team wants to wait to the deadline and they hold, maybe they're doing the same thing. Well, we might want to hold on to our players first to see where we're at come trade deadline. Maybe that's the case. I have a hard time believing that that's the case for every available player out there that teams are going to be looking to shop here within the next month. Why wait? If you wait till July 30th, you could be 8, 9, 10 games back by then. That's a dangerous card to play, which is why I still believe that this is why I made my Aaron Rodgers comparison. The Reds have thrown a wrench in the plans of the Castellinis. I think the Castellinis wanted this team to be bad. I think they wanted it. I think they wanted the snowball effect of the season to get away from them so they could justify selling pieces at the deadline. Now I think that all the winning and the excitement has put them in a pinch. You have 2 guys who are in the All-Star game as of right now as far as being starters. You have stars on this roster. I think right now they're in a pinch. I think they want to sell come trade deadline, but now that they're contending, or at least we're heading into this weekend, Now it's kind of changing it up. That's why Aaron Rodgers said, hey, the Packers are ready to move on from me. That's why they got me. They got my replacement. They got Jordan Love. And then here I am winning an MVP. And now they're like, crap, we just drafted a guy to replace him, but you can't move on from an MVP with multiple years left on the deal. That's what's happening right here. It's a very weird situation to be in, but do not wait for the deadline. Make a move now. If you know that you need bullpen help now, don't wait till the deadline over a month and a half from now to make a move. You could be dead and buried by then, and then you're going to be sitting here saying, man, if only we would have got 2 or 3 pieces to add to the bullpen back in late June, maybe we'd be a game or 2 out of first place as opposed to 10 games out.
This is definitely something we need to ask Hal McCoy next time we have him on. Why does it take so long for deals to go through? I know I can only speak from the NBA's perspective about trades. If you are signed as a free agent in the summer, you can't be traded until January. So I'm not sure if those same type of rules go.
Well, it's even like NFL free agency. Remember, like breaking news left and right. Bengals signed this guy, Browns get this guy, but it can't be made official until later this week. Same type of
So I'm not sure if like baseball has those type of rules. Also, like you just talked about, like other teams are trying to drive up the bargaining price for the guy that's hot on the market that people want. Like it's all the negotiation game. And you're right. Like they need to find somebody. They need to find somebody to come into that bullpen and settle things down. If you're a middle reliever guy that can be counted on, because obviously the guys that are going out there right now aren't to be counted on. They haven't been all season long, to be perfectly honest. And the way the bullpen has been pitching, Reds fans as a fan base, you need probably to think like, man, I'm pretty happy where we are, all things considering. Like things could be a lot worse than what they are right now. And, that big winning streak that just went on put them in a good position. But we talked about this on Friday when Mark was here. Like, they're a 500 team. Like, they're going to have ebbs and flows of the season. Like, they're not like that team. They're not like, like the Yankees. Like, the Yankees are, like, down right now, right? But they're expecting the Yankees to peak when the weather turns good. And then, obviously, today with the whole
they're down. They're 5 games above 500, but by Yankee standards, they're down. Yeah, absolutely.
And then now with today, the first day that MLB is going to be checking guys for spider tack or whatever, they're expecting the Yankees to have a big offensive explosion and everything like that. But you don't have the bats like the Yankees have. You don't have the arms that the Yankees have. You don't have the money that the Yankees have. So you're not at that level and you don't have that type of talent on your team, but it doesn't mean that you still don't have pieces that you can ship out and get better players in. Like there may be guys that are middle relievers or just in pitching staffs that may work better with your team, work better in your stadium. You know what I mean? Because, there's certain pitchers that don't pitch well in certain ballparks because they throw a different type of pitch and everything like that. So it's a ton of things at play for the Reds, and they need to make some decisions relatively quickly because, like you said, the trade deadline's around the corner. All-Star breaks around the corner. And ultimately, as a baseball fan, this is where you want to be. You want to be locked in and interested in baseball as the All-Star break approaches. There's nothing worse in the world than having your team irrelevant after the first month of the season. And the Reds aren't irrelevant. They're in the mix. They're interesting. They're watchable. So at the end of the day, yes, I know everybody wants to make the playoffs and they want to go on to get a pennant and everything like that. But you're in the mix, and now you hold your team accountable to make those moves to get you over the hump to say like, okay, no, making a wild card is not good enough. We want to make a legit playoff spot and then make noise in the playoffs. So you're in a good spot right now. It's teetering because you just got swept by the Padres, but you're still there. Thank goodness you got the Twins tonight.
Yeah, again, they got a pair with the Twins coming up. How about that? No pun. Was that a pun? It sounded punny.
It is.
It was pretty punny of a pair with the Twins. Yeah, that's punny. Okay.
Was it intended?
It was not intended, and sometimes that's always the best. But, the Reds looking for a pair of wins and their pair of games against the Twins. Okay, now you're just ruining it, Kenner. Just shut the hell up. Okay, so the Reds Twins tonight, they play 8:10 the first pitch tonight. Again, 1:10 the first pitch tomorrow. In fact, they will preempt our show tomorrow. So congratulations. My gift to all of you listeners is you get a day off from me for a day. So there you go. Even Kev's the big winner of all of this.
On the early side,
to be honest. Yes, so there's that. But earlier in the show, it was Brian McCoy brought up, let's face it, the baseball manager position is the most overrated coaching position in sports. And it really got me to thinking. I remember back when Schlemmer and I were doing the show together, that was one of our early, when the show had first started, one of our early debates we had on the show was, what is the most meaningless not meaningless coach in sports, but, what sport does the coach mean the least, and what sport does the coach mean the most? Schlemmer took offense when I said baseball means the least, because he's a baseball guy. And in Schlemmer's defense, back, and I don't mean to age Schlemmer and say back in Schlemmer's day, but back when, in his day, the manager meant something. Every decision in a game was through the manager's gut to, and him being a former coach too, like he knows what it's like to operate during a game. Nowadays, everything is operational. It's a manual. It's when this happens, you do this. When this happens, you do that. So when you talk about, so Brian brought up a good point that it got us to talking even during the break, but what sport does the coach mean the least? We'll just do pro sports, and to be honest with you, I don't even know how to put hockey in there, mainly because I don't follow hockey enough or know, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know what decisions they're making during a game for me to include them in this.
Line shifts.
But they are included in this, okay? For you hockey fans out there, hockey coaches are included in this at the pro level, so I'm not excluding you from the conversation. I'm just admitting, I hate when hosts will do this, like they'll pretend to know everything about the sport. I'm not pretending to know about hockey. I'm just going to be 1,000,000% honest with you. So that's why I'm going to leave them out of my reasonings here. For me, I think the coach that means the most, that the coach that means the most to their sport is the NBA. Even though I still crap on coaching in the NBA today, they are the ones making the substitutions. They are the ones bringing guys in and out of the game. They are the ones who are still running these practices. Okay, so I think that they are the most important. The second most important to me, and I'm still hesitant on this, NFL. The NFL, and here's why. When we talk about how great these coaches are, Bill Belichick, oh man, he's great, but it's not his offense that's great, right? Like, he has offensive the coordinators are what make you great. The coordinators are what makes you look good and bad. I mean, that's why we're talking about getting better defensive coordinators and better offensive coordinators. Well, shouldn't the coach be what ticks, like the team should tick as the coach ticks, right? So if we're saying, oh, this team's really, really good because of the offensive coordinator, well, then how important is the coach? Very, which is why I still have him second most important on the list. But at the same time, they get to delegate a lot of their coaching elsewhere. The NBA, it's all on them. They have assistant coaching, yes, and they help, during practices and game planning and watching film and everything like that, prepping for the next opponent. But the head coach is still running the practices at both ends of the floor. Everything, their fingerprint is on it. I don't think head coaching fingerprints are all over the NFL product. I think a lot of it you look good and look bad based on your coordinators. That's why I have the number 2. And the least most important sport, the sport that coaching or managing means the absolute least in, is baseball. I think they're all worthless. I don't think that they actually matter at all, which is ironic because I spend a lot of time saying, man, David Bell lost them the game last night. Well, how could they be so meaningless if I'm sitting there saying that I'm putting a lot of weight on the result of a game based on the manager? The reason I say that the manager is the least important or means the least to a particular sport is because we just saw the Brian Price piece from USA Today last week about how he was being told what his lineup had to be. He was being told how many innings his pitchers needed to pitch. He was being told what bullpen guys to use when and where. He was being told when to pitch guys, when to hit guys, what the order should be. That to me means, through no fault of their own, by the way, it doesn't mean that they're not good baseball minds and people, but today's baseball, the managers mean the absolute least because they are strapped. They are puppets of the front office. The front office is trying to be the manager. So to me, I guess in our little quick list segment here, Kev, I think that the NBA coach is the most important in pro sports. I think the NFL coach is second most, and the least important is Major League Baseball. I left hockey out because I don't know enough about hockey to be able to rationalize where they would belong in this list. So hockey fans, help us out. Head to Facebook, The Justin Kinner Show. Jump in the chat section, please, and we will pull your reaction into the show. I'm not disrespecting your sport. I think I'm respecting your sport by acknowledging I don't know enough about it to try to rationalize where to put them in this list. So I need your guys' help. So there we go. How would your list look as far as what sport does the coach mean the most and which sport does the coach mean the least? Professional sports, at least right now.
Yeah. I'm a regurgitate exactly what you said about hockey. I know nothing about hockey. I can't skate. I can't do any of that. Respect to them dudes because they skate on ice and hit a puck at the same time. Respect to those guys. But like you said before, we're not aficionados on that. So No disrespect to all the hockey coaches out there. But for me, number one is an NFL head coach. The NFL head coach, his responsibilities are the entire.
Left just a tad more.
How I'm looking.
Tad more.
More?
Yeah, because we might put this later on Facebook and on YouTube. So I want to make sure that that your whole face is in the shot. Okay, start over. My bad.
I think I got a haircut.
There we go.
No, but number one for me, I would go with the NFL head coach. The NFL head coach is number one for me because he coaches his other coaches. He's responsible for the whole ship. It's a situation where you not only the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, special teams, and everything like that. And when something goes wrong, he is the one that gets blamed. No matter if the special teams coach called a fake punt and it didn't work, everybody's looking at the head coach like, why would he do that? What type of play is that? Why would you do that? So I put a lot of onus on the head coach. I mean, we can look at your Cleveland Browns. We look how they operated this past season versus seasons past. You know, they won 12 regular season games and a playoff game. That was because of coaching. That was because of the head coach and him bringing in a mindset and coaching his coaches up.
What do you say to counter that? What do you say to, man, the Browns get their first playoff win in decades when remember the coach was home, right? Like, I don't buy into that.
That's what I was saying about coach. That's why
he
was coaches and the coaches. Yep. Like everybody, he has a vision and he gets everybody on the same page. NFL head coach is almost like a CEO. Like he's not like out here drawing up plays. I personally don't really like when my head coach is also the play caller because I think there's a lot of other responsibilities that a head coach has to do. You know, a good manager can delegate. A good manager can allow his people, quote unquote, under him to do their job, and he instills confidence in them that they're going to do their job the right way. So when you have an OC that's in his bag and he's willing to deal and calling up the right play and you're executing exactly what you want to do, then he has no need to jump in there and say, no, let's run the QB draw. Like, you know, Urban Meyer was notorious for that, like jumping in there with the good old 3rd and 8, run the QB draw. We got the number situation.
They'll never see it coming.
Yeah, exactly. So like when you get those type of guys that meddle in things like that can throw you off. So I say NFL head coach number one. And number 2 for me would be the NBA head coach.
Wow. So I picked the NBA. That's shocking. That is shocking.
Definitely a flip-flop, something I didn't see coming with you saying NBA number 1. I go with number 2 with the NBA head coaches. You know, you can look at what some of the adjustments that Ty Lue made, not only in the Maverick series, but also in the series with the Utah Jazz. Obviously, their best player, Kawhi Leonard, goes down with a knee injury. What does he do? He says, all right, we're going to play small. We got Nicholas Batum. Nicholas Batum can play the 4 and the 5, but he can shoot threes. So, okay, they got the defensive player of the year. We're going to stop driving and we're going to stop driving with our point guards like Patrick Beverley and Reggie Jackson. We're going to make Paul George our point guard because Paul George is 6'8". So, okay, 6'8" versus, you know, Rudy Gobert, he could take that contact
pull him away from the rim,
kick it out to a second round pick and Terrence Mann, dropping 39 points. Luke Kennard hitting threes in the corner. So those type of adjustments, you got to have a ton of respect for. For number 3 for me, and this is very difficult for me putting the baseball manager number 3, because if you would have asked me this as a 15, 16-year-old when my favorite team, the Cleveland baseball team, was going to World Series and everything like that under Mike Hargrove, I would have said they're number 1. But the way baseball is played today, played by the numbers, played on a sheet of paper, I put them last on my list because it seems to me that most teams are playing by a piece of paper. My rebuttal to my own conversation would say, look at my team that I root for. Last year, Sandy Alomar was our manager while Francona was dealing with a medical issue. They had more talent last year, but they're playing better baseball this year because of Francona. So I'm not sure if it's simply that the organization from the top to the bottom has to be on the same page to say, hey, we're going to let you manage. We're going to let you do your thing from your gut, or from the top down, we're going to be running things from the numbers. You're just going to be a order taker and run the page. So I think it's as simple as the organizations that strictly go by the paper, those managers will be on the bottom. But the managers that are allowed to, you know, input from the numbers, input from their years of playing baseball, and input from their gut, those guys would be at 2 for me. So it's almost I'm cheating a little bit with the guys that actually do it from the gut, and the paper would be on two different levels for me.
Yeah, I think Francona, by the way, gets a little bit more leeway than most. I guarantee you with Cleveland, when Francona leaves, I think they will replace him with somebody that they have more control over because they're watching every other club in Major League Baseball say, well, man, look at the Reds and everyone else. Their front office is basically managing the team from the top. Francona, you can't do that with. He's that old school. He's like a Doc Rivers to me, where he's the last of the old school type coaches, and Popovich of the NBA going into the new school, where the NBA now it's a lot of former players, very young head coaches who are more players type coaches who are more there to massage the egos of the players, to put them in position to succeed the way that they want them to. So Doc Rivers, I think the reason that Doc isn't working in the NBA right now is because he has that old school of, I'm going to tell you what to do. I mean, these guys look mentally tired. I think he wears these guys out, to where Ty Lue's that player's coach that he learned with LeBron. I'm going to sit back, no pressure. I'm going to get through this. That's why, Paul George is mentally able to fight through some of the struggles he's had, because you don't have a coach yelling at you. Not saying that that's the wrong way to do it, but it's apparently the wrong way to do it in today's game. And no matter how guys like me and old school guys scream about how these guys just can't be told what to do. Okay, I could say that all I want, but that is the reality. You can't tell these guys what to do. And I can't take over a team and say, no, I know it works. I'm going to do it my way. Well, your way may not work in today's game, no matter how much we think it isn't. So my point is, I think with Francona, I think that, when Cleveland, when Francona moves on, they will get a yes man, the way David Bell's a yes man for Cincinnati, and the way a lot of managers are.
I hope not.
Now, the reason I had the NBA at number 1, too, is because Ty Lue, who I totally disrespected years and years ago, because I kept bringing up, like in this past decade, how important. By the way, when Schlemmer and I did this topic, I had the NBA almost tied with baseball as meaning the least, because I started looking at, David Blatt, very first year as a head coach in the NBA Finals. Ty Lue, very first year as a head coach in the NBA Finals. Steve Kerr, very first year as an NBA head coach in the finals. There were so many examples of it. I know I'm missing one. There's another first-year head coach that got his team to the finals, and it's driving me nuts this past. Do you know who I'm talking? Nick Nurse. So there are so many examples in this past decade that I'm like, but when you look at the Clippers as a prime example of just change, the roster's pretty much the same. They made a few, actually lost more. They actually have less. The Clippers have less talent this year than they did last year. Hell, they're without Kawhi right now, and they've still advanced further in the playoffs than when they had that superstar lineup. So Ty Lue and Doc Rivers right now kind of highlight that to me, of the importance of coaching and why that matters the most. Send us out with this. You can cue the music on the way out. Parting shots here. If we included college football to me is number 1 overall, because look, that matters most. But let's just narrow it down to college basketball versus college football. Coaching means more in what?
Goodness gracious.
Do you want to use that as a tease? We could do that as a tease. Okay.
Yeah. I got to think about that. Yeah.
So a college basketball coach versus a college football coach. When you look at both of those which sport does the coach mean the most to? And which sport does it mean the least?
I got my answer.
All right. We'll be back in a few minutes. We'll give you our answer. We'll also get your answers on the way back. Brian McCoy says NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball in that order. So there you go.
Smart man.
All right. We'll be back in a moment.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be cloudy and windy with showers and thunderstorms, a high near 80. Tonight's also going to be cloudy with showers and thunderstorms, a low near 53. And tomorrow will be partly cloudy, a high near 70. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
When you need certainty in the home buying process with a loan that fits your life, Rocket can. Want to see your loan options, adjust payments and closing costs online in real time? Rocket can. Rocket Mortgage.
If an education can help you prepare for a career change, here's an opportunity. University of Phoenix is awarding up to $1 million in new scholarships this month. You could earn between $2,000 and $3,000 in a non-cash tuition scholarship. See which one you may qualify for at phoenix.edu.
Let's be real. Mopping is a hassle. You have to fill the bucket, pushing a wet, heavy mop around, then cleaning the mop when you're done so it doesn't grow bacteria. A hassle on top of a hassle. Try Swiffer Wetjet. With Swiffer Wetjet, you start with a fresh pad and cleaning solution every time. And when you're done, you just toss the pad. Swiffer Wetjet, the faster, easier, cleaner way to clean your floors.
Allstate is known for quality insurance, but you might not know them for low rates. That's about to change. With Allstate, you can save up to 25% when you bundle your home and auto. You know what else you might not know? The chicken came before the egg. With Allstate, you can lower your rates, not your expectations. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company, Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company, and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
If you are push mowing your yard using an inefficient lawn tractor, or your current zero-turn spends more time in the shop than mowing your grass, it's time you look at the Hustler Zero-Turn Lawn Mower. Residential mowers from Hustler are built like tanks and drive like sports cars. All Hustler mowers have fabricated welded steel decks. Don't settle on cheap units with flimsy stamped decks from big box stores. See Small Engine Service Pros and we'll guide you to the right mower for your property and your budget. 2030 North Dayton Lakeview Road, Route 235 in New Carlisle.
Summer's here, and Rob's Beer Barn is in full summer refreshment mode. That means Rob's Beer Barn has you covered for all of your outdoor gatherings. At Rob's, you can find all the refreshments you'll need. Ice-cold craft beers, imported, local, and seasonal beers, fine wines, snacks, and ice. Rob's has it all. And if you find you're in need of any last-minute items, you can call, walk in, or drive through. Stop in and visit Rob's and stock up for the summer. Rob's Beer Barn on Indian River Road at Darst, just a mile east of the Green. Rob's Beer Barn, just look for the beaver.
Who doesn't want instant gratification? If you're looking for satisfaction, there's no need to wait. With a Credit Karma Money Spend account, you can win cash reimbursements for debit purchases. And when you make a purchase between June 8th and June 30th, you'll be automatically entered to win $1 million. Visit creditkarma.com/winmoney. That's creditkarma.com/winmoney. Instant Karma is sponsored by Credit Karma. No purchase necessary. Exclusions and terms apply. See rules. Banking services provided by MBB Bank Inc. Member FDIC. Maximum balance and transfer limits apply.
Only T-Mobile for Business uses unconventional thinking to help businesses realize new possibilities, like our WFX solutions, enabled by our nationwide 5G network that help teams stay connected and productive where work happens. We also provide an award-winning customer experience and first-class benefits with every plan. Get unmatched network support and value without any trade-offs at T-Mobile.com/unconventional. Capable device required. Coverage not available in some areas. Some uses may require certain plan or features. See T-Mobile.com.
Guys, stop putting your love life on hold. U.S. Pharmacy has some exciting news. If you've been wanting to try Viagra or Cialis, now's the perfect time. Call today and receive 90 little blue or little yellow pills for only $119 with free shipping. Why order some low-dose sildenafil from one of those subscription services when we can give you what you want now? Call 800-990-6271 and we'll rush your order discreetly packaged to your door. Been thinking about trying Viagra or Cialis? Call U.S. Pharmacy at 800-990-6271 for as little as only $119 for 90 pills. Need your package in a hurry? Call 800-990-6271 and ask about our express shipping option, and we'll rush your order to you as soon as possible. Save money on the little blue or yellow pill you've been wanting to try. Again, 800-990-6271 now. That's 800-990-6271.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. I'm a better neighbor because my service has taught me how important it is to be a team player. My training helps me in my classes when I give attention to detail to the task at hand. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my country safe from threats. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Ohio Army National Guard. Aired by the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Milano's Pizza Subs and Taps' new summer menu is here. Fresh salads, house-made chicken salad subs, the pep and honey pizza, and more. Bring it home or dine on Milano's patio. See all your choices at milanosubs.com.
I'm CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger with a quick tip from H2O Wireless on stretching your budget and saving money every month. Start with your recurring monthly bills, and here's the easiest one, your cell phone bill. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile charge premium rates for unlimited data, when in all actuality, you have no need for that much data. H2O Wireless, on the other hand, is on the exact same network as one of those carriers, but charges you half. The average family of four is saving over $70 a month without having to sacrifice coverage. And listen to this, unlimited talk, text, and 15 gigs of data for just $36 per month. Switching is as easy as swapping out your SIM card. You can keep your phone and your phone number. Here's how to get the best deal. This month, dial pound 250 and say keyword get H2O. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Dial pound 250 and say get H2O for this exclusive offer and start saving today.
Staples is evolving to Staples Connect, a new world of possible with innovative tools for small business and remote workers and learners. Explore what's new at your local Staples store or staplesconnect.com.
The Reds are on the radio. Every hit, every strikeout, every Reds victory. You can catch all of the action all season long right here on Dayton's home of the Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on 1410 Wing AM. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Orion Sports Medicine. So we spent the last part of the show talking about, okay, in professional sports, what sport does the coach mean the least? You know, and Kevin and I, we don't agree on a lot, but we did agree that Major League Baseball, that, you know, as far as coaching is concerned, managing, that the manager in baseball it's worthless compared to the other coaches and other professional
You out here putting
sports.
words in my mouth.
You put them in last.
I didn't say worthless.
They mean nothing. When you have the front office telling you what to do, when David Bell doesn't even get to actually manage a game, he is being forced to do what he is being told from above. As far as, you know, it's an instruction manual. When this happens, do this. So Kev Nash said, worthless. But that was just professional sports. But I got to thinking, I'm like, okay, when you think about college sports, and we're just going to shrink it down to college basketball versus college football, between college football and college basketball, what sport does the coach mean the least? And I'm gonna change it to which coach means the most, because both of them are coach dependent. There's no doubt about it. So I'm not gonna say least. So between college football and college basketball, which sport does the coach mean the most? The success of the team rides on that coach more than anything else. We've seen a lot of examples within this last decade of legendary coaches. Look, I don't want to put Bob Stoops as a legend. He was one of the best coaches out there, but I can't put him legendary like up there with Urban Meyer, Nick Saban, and some of these others. Dabo's climbing those ranks with the recent little stretch of success that, you know, going back to Deshaun Watson to now. But I can't put Dabo or Stoops there. But we've seen legendary coaches get replaced in college football, and the beat keeps going. Urban Meyer leaves Ohio State. Ryan Day picks up where Urban left off, continuing to fall short in the playoff. No, I'm just joking. But bottom line is, we've seen that in basketball. We're starting to see a lot of those same things. You know, Roy Williams has now retired from college basketball. Krzyzewski's entering his final year, as he announced that this will be his upcoming this upcoming season will be his last before he retires. So college football, college basketball, which coach means more to their particular sport? And for me, it comes down to this. For me, I think college basketball, the coach means more to the sport itself than college football, and both mean a ton. It sounds like I'm bad-mouthing one sport or the other. They both mean so damn much, but I'm going to have to give the rub to college basketball, even though I know the popular answer will be college football. College football, Ryan Day, would he be as good without Brian Hartline? No, he would not. Like we talk about, and for instance, when Urban Meyer took the Jacksonville Jaguars job, everyone freaked out because Urban's going to come in and pluck everybody, right? He's going to pluck all these coordinators, right? And Ryan Day is good. He knows the X's and O's. The one thing is we've talked about when it comes to, this level of talent is, of course, these guys know the X's and O's. But to your point, when you talked about the NFL earlier, CEOs, a lot of the people's jobs beneath them, but sometimes you're in charge of picking leadership guys leadership guys below you to help keep the culture right. And some fail at that. Some know the X's and O's, but some fail. So for me, I'm going to say college basketball, and here's why. This might not sit well with people, but I do believe that in college basketball, I see examples of guys I see lesser talent being coached up more than I do see that in college football. In college football, talent always wins. In college football, there's rarely an upset, if ever. All right. There's rarely an upset, if ever. Talent always wins. Clemson plays one of their worst games of all time, and they still beat North Carolina by 1 a few years ago. Talent always wins. Right now, you can list the Purdue over Ohio State and the Iowa upsets happen, but not nearly at the clip of, in college basketball. I see basketball. I watch college basketball, and I see coaches all the time take less talent and coach them up more than I do so in college football. Now, that's not a knock at college football. It's just the reality of it. I think college football, there's multiple sides of the ball. You have way more assistant coaches. You have coaches who are in charge of one side of the ball. You have offensive coordinators. In college basketball, you have assistant coaches, but overall, Coach K is Duke. Roy Williams is North Carolina. Anthony Grant right now is Dayton Flyers basketball. Scott Nagy at Wright State. I watch Scott Nagy, who, I know everyone pays attention to UD in town, and that's whatever. I'm never going to win that battle, and that's fine. It's not really a battle I've tried to win, and to say that Wright State should be better than UD or whatever. All I'm saying is if you look at the talent that Wright State brings in, if you're just going to base it off the eye test, if you watch a Wright State warm up and then you watch some of the other teams in the league warm up, those other teams right away, they just look like they're going to be way more athletic. They're going to be, a lot better. There's no way Wright State should beat some of these teams, right? I see Coach Nagy coach up less talent to win this league every year than I watch teams with more talent. There are teams with more talent than Wright State that lose every single year because of coaching. I watch lesser talent get coached up every single year in college basketball, all around the sport, more so in college football. And how many times, Kev, do we see, look at the SEC, the Big Ten, there's good coaches in those, but they don't win because they don't have as much talent. I see in college basketball every March, teams go on these deep tournament runs who aren't as talented, but they're better coached. Chris Holtmann got out-coached against, not Robert Morris, who the hell they lose to? Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts outcoached them. They had less talent. They outcoached Ohio State, and that's how they made that run in the NCAA tournament, deep into the tournament. So to me, I'm going to say coaching matters more in basketball than it does in football, but both mean an absolute ton. So there's that.
I'm on the other side. I think that college football coaches mean so much more to a program. We could take a look at Nick Saban. The year before he got to LSU was coached by Jerry DiNardo. He works for the Big Ten Network now. They were 3-8. 4 years later, national championship team. The year before he got to Alabama in 2007, they were 7-6. 2 years later, national championship team. Before Bob Stoops from the great Youngstown, Ohio, before he got there, Oklahoma was on the mat. They were nothing. They were nobody. They were dumpster fire. They were nothing. They weren't winning anything. 2 years later, national championship. You look at everything that's going on with Oklahoma now, that's because of Bob Stoops. That's because you have the right coach at the right program running it the right way. He has his guys in place now, and they're continue to run the ship. But the ship was off course before Bob Stoops showed up. The same thing can be said about that at Ohio State. Yes, of course, Jim Tressel was winning games and won a national championship. And Jim Tressel really came into a good situation, everything considered. But when Urban Meyer came to Ohio State, and this definitely does pain me to say this because I am a huge Jim Tressel fan, but he took Ohio State football to another level. Not only national brand and being an outgoing coach, Tressel known as the best and stoic and the senator and all that type of stuff. That wasn't what Urban Meyer was. Urban Meyer is a football coach, and he has that football coach mentality and that grizzle to him that we can look at. And the Ohio State program continued to let that roll. So everything that Ohio State is doing right now is a step because of the program, but it's because the program hired the right guy, and the guy Ryan Day is following. He is a protege of that guy, and he's continued to keep it rolling. I think football hires are way more important, not only because they have more players on the team with 85, but they have to recruit the players and also recruit the coaches. You look at Nick Saban, there's guys from his coaching tree that get plucked every single year. Now we want this guy to be our head head coach. Sarkisian, he's the head coach down there in Texas. Now he has to replace him. A couple years ago, the offensive coordinator, he went to Maryland. Now he's the Maryland head coach. So guys are going all over the place from his coaching tree getting plucked. So he has to constantly replace him. And like I said, with the NFL head coach, they have to coach the coaches. You have to coach them up like, this is what I want to do. Now go out there and teach the guys how to do what I want y'all to do. So he puts that a lot of pressure on them and they execute. And I think Nick Saban is a prime example of that. I mean, we can look at with USC, like they're on the teeter. You know, the coach out there, people want him going every single year. Like 8 wins ain't enough. Okay, I got you 9. That ain't enough. 10 wins. That still ain't enough. COVID year, we only lost 1 game. That ain't good enough. So he's teetering all the time. So they're not sure if he's the right guy, even though he's winning games. So sometimes even winning games isn't enough. So when you look at football coaches, they have to win. They have to rub elbows to get the money in with the boosters and all that type of stuff. They have to recruit. So the amount of pressure that's on them and the guys that actually execute it and win championships and win big games, I think they're more important. I think they have under more pressure, and I think they execute it better.
More pressure, yeah, because college football is I mean, that's as much as I love college basketball. It's no secret college football is way above college basketball, but college basketball is, right behind them. But I agree with everything you said. But at the end of the day, can you think of examples of coaches in college football that coach talent up? When's the last time we said, "Oh man, that team had no business winning"? That doesn't happen often.
Northwestern.
But like who they didn't beat anyone of significance. They were winning games. But what I mean is like in college basketball,
whenever Northwestern beats Michigan, it seems like everybody's shocked for some strange reason, even though Northwestern is a better football program than Michigan. But from the masses, when Northwestern went, like, okay, with Northwestern, they won their bowl game. I forgot who I think they played Auburn, I want to say. Everybody and their mom was shocked. I wasn't shocked.
You mean 4-loss Northwestern when they beat Auburn? That's the year they lost to Ohio State in the Big Ten title game, right?
Northwestern just beat in the bowl game this year. I thought they beat Auburn this year. I could be wrong. Let me double check.
But even with that,
it really doesn't matter.
But what we always say is, they're good for based on the standards of those mid-tier teams. Right. But so my point is, college football, the more talented team always wins. Now, you have more talent because you talked about Alabama before Saban, and you talk about, a lot of these Stoops, Oklahoma before these coaches come in. It's all about recruiting too. Recruiting is big in every sport. That's just a given. Okay. Same thing with basketball, but also in basketball, I've seen teams. I mean, how many Kentucky, they brag every year about all these guys, like these future NBA stars come in and they lose to Evansville. They lose to, and why? Because they may have the most talent, but talent doesn't always win in basketball. Talent always wins in football. Now, you can spit at me 5 or 6 examples of talent not always winning, but it's such a rare clip in college football. I mean, there's rarely upsets ever. There might be upsets within the conference. Right. We're still talking about a lot of teams who have the same resources. Some have a little bit more because of the money generated from them winning at a higher clip and a higher level. But the bottom line is in college football, talent always wins. So as long as you have good recruiting, like Urban Meyer, I'm not going to lie, I would not put him in the top 5 X's and O's coaches of all time. Right. I didn't even consider him a top 5 X's and O's coach when he was actively coaching at Ohio State. I thought that they lost a lot of opportunities because of him. I thought that, the way they ran the offense with JT Barrett, when you had Dwayne Haskins sitting there, when you had other quarterbacks who could play today's current style of football at a much higher level that would have probably got you into the playoff. They left playoff appearances on the table because of his X's and O's. So that hurt them there. But overall, talent usually always comes out on top. And in basketball, that's not always the case. And I think that coaching matters more in basketball than in football, because in football, talent always matters. Basketball, that's not always the case. I think you can coach up average teams. And I think in football, you can't. In football, you can't coach up an average team. I think you're just an average team. Basketball, average rosters are really good teams more so than football. But as I said, not disrespecting either sport, because both sports coaching definitely matters. But at the same time, for me, it's just I've seen more examples of teams that have no business winning college basketball, winning college basketball. There's not an example of that in college football. Hell, Northwestern last year, best team in my lifetime for Northwestern that I could think of. And they still lose to a crappy Michigan State team. So I'm like, what are you guys doing? So
one more time for the Northwestern lovers out there. They beat Auburn 35-19 in their bowl game. And they got 2 first round draft picks, and Ohio State had 1. So for all my Northwestern football lovers out there,
but you lost to Michigan State, so there's that. But yeah, I mean, like, coaching matters everywhere. I mean, for instance, talent always wins. In college basketball, that's not the case. I look at the Dayton Flyers. They recruit. I mean, compared to Wright State, and there's a ton of differences between the programs. I'm not really wanting to get into all that, but if you just look at the 2 coaches alone, if you could put Anthony Grant's recruiting with Coach Nagy's coaching, I mean, I don't care which side of the ball we're talking. If you put Coach Nagy's coaching ability with Coach Grant's recruiting ability, UD's a top 25 team every damn year. Coach Nagy is from an X's and O's standpoint, I watch him do more with less every single year than what Anthony Grant does with more at UD. And no, I'm not taking a shot. I'm not anti-UD in this. It's just the reality of it. You don't have to like it, but I know a ton of UD fans who do nothing but question Anthony Grant's play calling ability, especially situational stuff coming out of timeouts, out of bounds plays. I mean, there's so many things that I'm like, what in the world is going on? And not just me, but even UD fans, the most diehard UD fans question that. Like I said, coaching matters at all levels because you can coach up less talent. I think that Nagy has done more with less at Wright State than what Anthony Grant has had with more at UD. Bottom line, reality of it. Don't care, but that's why college basketball fascinates me. The coaching carousel in college basketball fascinates me because I think I've seen less talented teams be coached up way more than in college football where talent always prevails. So there's that. Another debate that has not ended in Kev and I shouting at one another, or I should say me shouting. I'm improving. That's all that matters on a day-to-day basis.
Proud of you.
David Shaw says 86 yards. The heart of the South was an upset, in my opinion. Again, I'm not saying there's examples of upsets in college football, but not at the talent always wins. You're going to find 1 or 2 examples here and there of upsets happening in college football, but overall, there's a reason that teams feel so confident in their ability to win that they spend thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to bring teams in just to whoop their ass at the beginning of the season. You don't do that to teams that you fear losing to. That's why in college basketball, you're very selective with who you bring in to come play. That's why UD is terrified to play Wright State because they don't want to bring in a team that can beat them, right? So that's really what it comes down to. Take it as a shot all you want, but it is what it is. David Shaw says Anthony Grant does horrible at the end of half and at the end of game situations. Holy smokes. It's more rare than an upset in college football. Shaw and I agreeing on something. There you go.
I got a question.
But Anthony Grant can recruit his ass off. He's done a good job as far as that, the level of caliber of players he has coming in. I'm not taking a shot at UD here. But again, if I have an opinion you don't like, it doesn't always mean I'm hating. I think anyone that knows basketball knows Anthony Grant's not the best X's and O's coach out there, but man, the dude can recruit, and that's all you can ask for right now. But what were you going to say?
No, I'm just saying,
actually, you could ask for more, but anyways, keep going.
We were talking about upsets in college football. Obviously, the biggest one, or especially around these parts, was Appalachian State over Michigan.
I thought that's what Shaw was going to bring up. Actually.
And one of my buddies is a Michigan fan. I just remember that day he was so distraught. He lost his mind. So Shaw, if you could tell us your thoughts and your feelings when that actually happened. That would be greatly appreciated. I'll put a smile on my face.
We are fans of the Ohio State University, but you want to talk about the college football upset that everyone knows, it's David Shaw's Michigan Wolverines loss, of course, to App State. So for instance, in college basketball, when an upset happens, it's a great story for a night, and then you move on to the next day. Appalachian State still gets brought up. Evansville beat Kentucky a few years ago at Kentucky. We forgot about it. We move on, right? It doesn't matter.
App State parlayed that into D1 football.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they did. And D1 football is about as meaningless as.
But I'm just saying they were
for the But no, you are 1,000,000% right. It's insane the branding of that school just went through the roof. The importance of that or whatever. But yeah, you're right. So. Interesting nonetheless. But now that I've pissed off, I'm sure a good chunk of people, even though I'm not trying to hate here, I'm just, spitting the obvious facts, and that drives people nuts. But it is what it is. We'll be back in a moment. Coming up here in the 5 o'clock hour, we'll get into our fill in the blank segment that involves the Cincinnati Reds or Cincinnati Bengals, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow's in the mix for one of the fill in the blanks as well. So we'll get into all of that. Plus Kev Nash brings us over under. That's all coming up here. Don't go anywhere. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
O'Reilly.
This is Sarah's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
Driving cross country with 2 young children is ambitious, to say the least. Then our check engine light came on. We pulled into O'Reilly Auto Parts and they tested it. Turned out it was a faulty sensor. They referred us to a great mechanic just down the street and we were back on the road in no time.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
There's nothing better than a fresh-made home-style meal, but not everyone loves the hassle of cooking. At Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, home-style happens here with our famous 12-piece family meal at a great price. This famous family meal includes 12 mixed pieces of Lee's fresh, never-frozen chicken that is honey-dipped, hand-breaded, and cooked to perfection, plus 3 large sides and 6 fluffy biscuits. Get a home-style meal made easy today with Lee's 12-piece family meal at a great price. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
You know, a few days ago while hanging out with my family, I noticed my father staring blankly at me. Something's not right, I thought. Is he having a stroke? Then I remembered to act fast, F-A-S-T, and did this quick test. F, face. I asked my father to smile. One side of his face drooped. A, arm. I asked him to lift both arms. No problem there. S, speech. I asked him to repeat a phrase. His speaking was slurred. T, time. I called 911 for immediate help. This way, he began receiving life-saving treatment in the ambulance. My father was out of the hospital in a few days, all because he made it to the hospital within an hour of his stroke. Practice recognizing the signs of a stroke so that you can act F-A-S-T, fast, to save a loved one.
This message is brought to you by the Ohio Department of Health's Covered L Stroke Program.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Tired of deciding what to cook tonight? Frickers is ready when you are with everyone's favorite ribs and frickin' chicken chunks. Tender baby back ribs and frickin' chicken chunks, only $12.99 dine-in only. Take the day off as kids 10 and under eat free every day. And you can relax and let Frickers take care of everything. Baby back ribs, frickin' chicken chunks, and kids eat free at the one place that makes lunch, dinner, or late night easy. The home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Baby back. Baby back.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Body Shop Manager at Germain Honda of Beaver Creek. When you need a dependable body shop, we're here to help, repairing all makes and models. Our technicians have over 125 years experience. That means we can repair your vehicle quickly and efficiently. Our department is state-of-the-art with new equipment to get you back on the road quickly. We offer loaner cars during service and free estimates. Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
Have you been seeking a final resting place for your loved one's cremated remains? Are you tired of endlessly searching to find a permanent home for a family member that gives you peace of mind, offers more security than the mantle, and doesn't cost thousands of dollars? This is Mark Davis from Dayton Memorial Park Cemetery, located at 8135 North Dixie Drive. We are pleased to announce a new product that offers families the opportunity to give their loved ones a permanent, serene, final resting place for as little as $300. Call us today at 937-890-1831.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty. You want more local content? content from Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, The Keith Byers Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, we have Goat Yoga Lattes coming up in the yoga room. Hey, Regan, can you go
At Finley's Fitness, personal trainers shouldn't have to personally do everything.
Engage that core. That class started 2 minutes ago. I am late. Hey, Dylan, can you...
Indeed can help them hire the people they need.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job, you immediately get your short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Head outside and take a deep breath of fresh air. Feel the sun and the breeze. Everything just feels better. Spending time outside, like at an Ohio State park, is a natural way to boost your well-being and mental health. The parks are there for everyone to enjoy. Just 15 minutes spent in nature can restore you, leaving you feeling refreshed and energized. And now, connecting to the outdoors is even easier with Ohio's new Detour Trails app. Visit detourtrails.ohiodnr.gov to find a nearby trail that's perfect for you. Need more help coping with life's challenges? Call the Ohio Care Line at 1-800-720-9616 for free emotional support. That's 1-800-720-9616. So go on, get outside and thrive. Sponsored by the Ohio Departments of Natural Resources and Mental Health and Addiction Services. Aired by the OAB and this station.
OHMB 803342 and MLS 304138. Do you need help with a loan to purchase or refinance your home? Have you applied for a home loan and been told you do not qualify for a loan? Are you a first-time buyer and have questions regarding the home buying process? Are you considering refinancing your existing home? Do you live in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Florida, or South Carolina? If you answered yes to any of the above questions, you need to call Forrest Ferris at 3rd Street Financial Home Loans at 513-320-5911, who is available 7 days a week to help you. We're 3rd Street Financial Home Loans, and Forrest Ferris specializes in approving home loans banks and other lenders cannot or will not approve. Some of our clients might have low credit scores, been through a divorce, want to buy a home for sale by owner, are in a land contract, or dealing with probate or estate homes. Call Forrest now for a free estimate. 513-320-5911. That's 513-320-5911. Offer valid for purchase or refinancing of homes located in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Florida, and South Carolina only. Minimum loan amount $60,000. Limitations and restrictions apply.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Milano's Pizza Subs and Taps is celebrating the sunshine with a bunch of fresh new menu choices, from pizzas to salads to subs. See all the creative flavors in store for you right now at milanosubs.com.
Don't wait to get a new job. Express Employment Professionals is hiring for more than 35,000 jobs. Find your local Express office at expresspros.com or on the Express Jobs app.
The Reds are on the radio.
Every hit, every strikeout, every Reds victory. You can catch all of the action all season long right here on Dayton's home of the Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio.
I'm probably okay to have one more drink before I drive home. I'm probably okay. I open the window to stay alert. Probably okay. I just popped some gum in my mouth. Step out of the car, please. I probably made a mistake.
Probably okay isn't okay when it comes to drinking and driving. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byers Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio. WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
Wait a minute, he struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, hour number 3 is the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. I came across this tweet that I found interesting. Adam Jardy covers Ohio State basketball. Has been on the show multiple times throughout the college basketball season, but he talked about how crazy it is that Jashawn Tate is the first Buckeyes player to be named to the NBA's All-Rookie team since D'Angelo Russell 5 years ago. And what's even crazier is that they were all in the same recruiting class at Ohio State. Jashawn Tate, D'Angelo Russell, and then also Keita Bates-Diop. All three, and Keita Bates-Diop was a hell of a player. Yep. I think he got drafted by the Spurs, if I'm not mistaken. But you had Keita Bates-Diop, you had Jashawn Tate, you had D'Angelo Russell, all part of that recruiting class. I know people wanted to rip Thad Matta, to say that he lost his touch at the end of his run at Ohio State, but all three of those guys were Thad Matta guys. All three of those guys were in the same recruiting class at Ohio State. All three of the, you know what I'm saying? So Thad Matta, I don't think lost his touch. I do think, his health is the number one thing that led to, and obviously the results. But that is pretty interesting that we always just associate the last run of Thad Matta as just this horrible stretch in Ohio State basketball. And the results weren't there to argue otherwise. But that was the last recruiting class, or one of the final recruiting classes that he had pieced together. He had lost a lot of guys. AJ, I think it was AJ Harris from Dunbar, if I'm not mistaken, was a part of one of those classes as well, who I think ultimately, I don't know if he's at Texas A&M now, but bottom line is, Dad did a great job. Dad had some really good players coming to Ohio State at the end. Obviously, whether it was the message being delivered in practice or how things were going with the program that were leading to guys leaving left and right. But when you had Keita Bates-Diop, you had D'Angelo Russell, you had Jashawn Tate, not all part of the same recruiting class, but all part of the same, we're at Ohio State at the same time. Holy smokes. Thad Matta did put a good group of guys together there towards the end.
Respect to Jashawn Tate. He took the long road to the NBA.
Yep.
He wasn't drafted. He played overseas, and getting that opportunity with the Rockets. And let's be clear, man, what the Rockets were doing basically after, they had a little spurt there in the middle of the season where, John Wall and Victor Oladipo were playing some good basketball. And then, just like always, Victor Oladipo got hurt, and then John Wall got hurt, and then they just said, we're just going to play a whole bunch of young guys. They made the trade for, who's the guy from the Cavs? Kevin Porter Jr., and he played some good basketball, so they were out there playing their young guys, so he got a lot of experience playing basketball. And the crazy thing about it was he showed the ability to hit that corner three. So that showed he was working on his game overseas and worked on his game a ton for him to consistently knock down the corner three. So he's going to potentially be one of those good 3-and-D players in the NBA and have a long career.
Interesting thing here too about the NBA. You have the Eastern and Western Conference finals set now. Of course, you have the Nets who were eliminated by the Bucks, and now you have the Bucks and the Hawks. I mean, the Hawks have been an interesting story. I mean, you got to feel good. It's a feel good story of the NBA. When you look at Trae Young and the Hawks, but today the story wasn't the Hawks are in the Eastern Conference Finals. The story is that the Sixers are not, and of course the calamity that the mess that is the Sixers when it comes to Joel Embiid and Simmons and everything like that. But is this a good or a bad thing for the NBA? I'm a hypocrite because I sit there and say, well, the NBA, it's tough for a lot of fans to watch because it's all predetermined, it seems. For the first time in a while, I mean, I think all four of the teams in the Eastern and Western Conference Finals, the Clippers and the Suns, and then the Hawks, and literally just lost it. The Hawks and Bucks, sorry. They haven't won a championship in over 30 years. Some haven't won one at all. That's where we're at when it comes to all four of these franchises right now. And there's not a lot of big remaining superstars. When you think of Steph Curry, you think of LeBron James, you think of Luka, you think of Kevin Durant, you think of James Harden, Kyrie Irving. None of those names are left. Right. And even the big names that are remaining aren't healthy. I mean, you look at the fact that Chris Paul is out and we don't know when he's going to come back, but we're getting a good look at Devin Booker, who's doing a fantastic job, a young DeAndre Ayton also stepping up, making big plays when the Suns team needs it. Trae Young is the breakout star of the offseason. I mean, he's the guy. There was always a lot of eyes on him. Now he has solidified himself as one of the best in the game right now. Giannis, a two-time MVP, but two-time MVP, that sounds like a lot, but it's still not up there with the Durants and the LeBrons of the world. Is this a good or a bad thing? When I've always said, oh man, it's always predetermined. Everyone knows who's going to win. And people always say they hate that. I think that they like it because you tune in to watch those teams lose. Is there enough star power in this playoffs to matter? I haven't checked ratings. And for those who don't, some of you aren't going to watch it. Even if it was Kevin Durant against LeBron in the finals, you were still going to make your little dumb comments about not watching. Who cares? The NBA playoffs started. Oh, the finals are going on. Oh, all those comments will be made no matter who's playing. But for the general better good of the NBA, is this a good or a bad thing that there's no Luka, no Durant, no Steph Curry, no Harden, no LeBron? Good or a bad thing? No big brands either. I'm at Milwaukee. Atlanta's okay, but Milwaukee, Atlanta, Phoenix, luckily the Clippers, but no one gives the Clippers credit because it's not the Lakers. So is this a good or a bad? And, oh, by the way, Kawhi Leonard.
Right.
Is this a good or a bad thing when here's the stars leading the way? Giannis Antetokounmpo against Trae Young. Trae Young to us is fascinating, but again, to the casual fan, who's Trae Young, right?
Right.
Not even Kawhi Leonard. It's Paul George and the Clippers going up against Devin Booker, not Chris Paul. Good or bad thing right now with the 4 teams that are left for the NBA?
Right now it's going to be bad because these are not name brand guys. These aren't guys that we've seen in the NBA and quote unquote prove themselves year after year, but they're proving themselves now in the most important time in the playoffs and everything like that. I think it'll pay dividends in the future. I think whoever comes out of this 4-team race now, they have a great selling point going into next season. They have something to sell to the masses and, all the LeBron and Laker lovers out there, all the Nets fans that miraculously appeared out of nowhere. They have something to point at to say like, no, that championship that team won wasn't real. It didn't count because we were hurt, and they're going to be locked in and they're going to be hate watching. And unfortunately in sports, people do that more now than ever. They hate watch. They've been hate watching LeBron for years. Ohio State fans have been hate watching Alabama and Clemson for the last couple of years. And it is what we do now as a culture, unfortunately. I'm not a fan of it, but I think this season the numbers will quote unquote be down because these aren't brand names, but it'll pay dividends in the future because one of these guys is going to have a championship ring on their resume, and they're going to be able to spin that forward into a narrative on TNT and ESPN to say like, well, he's the new king of the NBA. Can LeBron reclaim his crown? Can Kevin Durant come back and take it back from Giannis or whomever comes out of the East and everything like that? Those would be good selling points. And then when those teams meet up in the playoffs and in the finals, the numbers are going to be crazy because that team that makes it a run this year to the finals, they're going to be there again. You know what I mean? And they're young teams. And the fact that they're young, that means that the young people are watching the guys that like, okay, you grew up watching LeBron. The people that are growing up right now watching Trae Young and watching Devin Booker at the, 14, 15 years old, 10 years from now, they'll be 20 something years old. And they'll be saying like, these, I remember this was the guy. I remember the first championship you won. I remember that run that Trae Young went on versus Philly. I remember he got in Ben Simmons' head. They'll have all these memories. So it'll all pay dividends in the future.
Yeah. And it's funny you talk about, people hate watching and stuff. Like we're at the point now where no matter what people accomplish, we find ways to, and I'm very guilty of it. I mean, I'm not going to say like I'm one of them. Like, in fact, the one guy that I've spent his entire career trying to downplay is Chris Paul. And now I'm like one of his biggest fans out there. Like I'm hoping he gets back sooner rather than later. Everything's been very hush hush as far as him being in the protocol when it comes to COVID for the NBA. So it's funny though, because every team, I don't think one team is respected that's left through no fault of their own. What I mean is the Milwaukee Bucks, they are only there because the Nets got injured. The Atlanta Hawks, this whole story today has not been the Hawks are in the Eastern Conference Finals by Trae Young. It's Ben Simmons and the Sixers collapsed. That's why the Hawks are there, right? Mm-hmm. Then you look over at the Western Conference, the Clippers. The Clippers are there, but they win some, they lose some, but they wouldn't get past the Lakers, right? Like the Clippers might be the only team that's there that probably should be there in the eyes of most. So that respect's going to be there, but there's a lot of people who still aren't giving them the full credit because it's like, well, there's no Kawhi Leonard, and this team's going to trip up at some point, right? And they're already down 0-1 against the Suns, and then you have the Suns who are there who even this, I've said this too. If LeBron and AD are completely healthy, the Suns aren't in this spot right now. But the Suns they've literally rose to every challenge out there and they've come out on top every time. So they're there, but there's always that asterisk. Every year, every time Kevin Durant wins a championship, he had to go to a 70-win, Warriors team to join Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. LeBron wins it. Yeah, well, he had to team up with Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving. LeBron wins it. Yeah, well, he had to team up with, Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. I can't tell you, even me, the Raptors, they win it. Yeah, well, that's because Kevin Durant and the whole Warriors team goes down, which I still believe to this day. But like every year,
you see it though. You see the line in the sand, or the common denominator is injuries happen. And that's just how it's going to have to be. Like at some point, like just people got to realize like every year something happens. This ain't NBA 2K where you can turn injury mode off and just play out there and let it play. Like the brutality of the season, and trust me, playing the whole 82 game, or in this case, a 72 game season is tough on the body. Under condensed season, injuries pop up, wear and tear on players. It's a war of attrition. And you just ran down a ton of NBA champions that had to go up against teams that weren't 100%. Ain't nobody 100%.
Or it's never like the Mavericks didn't beat the Heat. The Mavericks didn't beat LeBron. LeBron James just disappeared from the series, right? Like, yeah. I'm just trying to think of the last championship game in any sport that I watched that was legitimate. Even when Alabama wins a national championship. And by the way, you are a complete moron if you do not think Nick Saban is the best coach in college football today. You are a complete moron if you don't think Alabama is the best program in college football today. You can love Ohio State, but they are not Alabama. And as of right now, don't care. We are the home of the Buckeyes, but they are not. They're within striking distance of Bama, but they're nowhere close to being Alabama. They're not close.
Heels call.
So, yeah. So with that being said, I look at all of this, and every time Alabama wins one, it's, they're only there because they play in the SEC, and it's the SEC bias. Really, it's not because they have the number one recruiting class every year. It's not because they have the best coach. It's not because they have the best players. It's just because they're in the SEC. We do it with everybody. Clemson beats Ohio State a few years ago. Well, we're the Ohio State. There is no way that we would lose to Clemson. It took the bad officiating call early in the third quarter, and forget the fact that we gave up a 21-0 run. Forget the fact that we let Sunshine rush for over 100 yards on us. Forget all those things. Let's just blame it on that. We constantly find reasons to discredit any team's success out there.
Correct.
And I am saying this as being the number one culprit in that. I literally always find a reason to not enjoy something. Tom Brady won a Super Bowl at almost 45 years old. Yeah, well, the offensive line was beat up for the Chiefs. Is it a different story then? And then if the Chiefs win, it's a 45-year-old quarterback, Tom Brady, you beat. I mean, did you really beat anything? It's always something. The Chiefs.
When did that start, you think?
I think social media. Maybe, I don't know.
Like the first one I remember, or the one I point to, is I can't exactly remember which year it was, but it was when Detroit beat the Lakers in the NBA Finals.
They didn't beat them. The Lakers collapsed. Right?
They would have won if Kobe and Shaq wasn't beefing. That was the one that I heard from all my.
They were. So there you go.
Yeah. I mean, they were. So what?
And so what's interesting. So my thing is this: like, if I wasn't so young in the 90s, I was a fan in the 90s, but I wasn't, the critical thinking thing wasn't always there. You could argue it's not there now. MJ beat
04.
And actually, no, I lied. I do this when I look back at MJ's run. Easy. We're fine. I'm not debating MJ's greatness or the Bulls' greatness. The Bulls were the top dog. They were the favorite. I have a feeling that Bulls team in today's game, we would still discredit it as, who do they beat? Well, the reason that we always disrespect who they beat is because they're not as good as the Bulls. So when you beat the first championship for MJ when they beat the Lakers, you had the Lakers team was old. That was the winding down of the Lakers, dynasty with Magic and everybody. So, who'd you really beat? Then you beat the Supersonics. It's the Supersonics. Gary Payton's great. They call him the glove cap. It's the Supersonics, right? Who they beat? Who was the third one?
No, the first one was the Lakers. Second one was
the Sonics. Was part of the second three-peat, correct?
Then was the Trailblazers. Was the second?
It's the Trailblazers, right? Like we do that all the time. It's the Trailblazers. The Portland Trailblazers were good, but it's not MJ and Scottie Pippen and the Bulls, right? And Phil Jackson. It's not that. So
and then they beat the Suns.
And when you watch the start, like you had Barkley, but and you had Marley and some good guys, and
Marley, Danny Ainge,
but old Danny Ainge, older Charles. No, I'm not doing. I'm playing the game the way we play. I'm playing by today's rules. That didn't exist back then. It was MJ is walking on water, and when LeBron walks on water, it's I wonder what flotation device he's standing on as he's floating across water, right? Yeah, exactly. So that's where we're at with all this. That's what I find fascinating is we just don't appreciate anything. I saw that tweet and it threw me off and it got my attention when it said, this is bad for the NBA. I'm like, well, maybe. I mean, kind of
pay dividends in the future.
We do this all the time with March Madness. I remember when it was, I think it was Michigan State was the only name brand in the Final Four a few years ago. It was Texas Tech against Auburn.
Yeah.
And then Michigan State against, I forgot who they even played. It was just it was a very, like, this wasn't the Final Four that everyone wanted.
Right.
When you get to the Final Four, this is what I find fascinating about the NCAA tournament is people tune in the first week for the upsets. You want the upsets, but I don't want Loyola was it Loyola, by the way? Might have been. Was that the Loyola year?
I'm looking it up now. It's the 19 Final Four. Hold on.
I should know. That was, but either way, the point is we do this every year and that it's like, oh man, no one wants that Final Four. You want your Kentuckys and you want your Dukes and you want your big name programs in there. You don't want you don't want those upset teams to make a run. For me personally, I'm not as jacked about watching Michigan State Loyola as I would be Michigan State Duke.
Michigan State, Texas Tech in one semifinal, and Virginia and Auburn in the second final. And that Virginia-Auburn game was real good. I do remember that game.
Yeah, there's some weird. Remember, there's the weird officiating. He came down on the, so there was the call there, whatever. But the bottom line is this: is like, and by the way, they always end up being good games. It was a good game one between the Suns and the Clippers already. But people are like, the Clippers, they're without Kawhi, and the Suns don't have Chris Paul, and they're only there because the Lakers, they were beat up by injuries. And
do you view it as NBA Jonesers like myself view it that way, or do you view it as casual fans looking at it like that?
I'm not going to lie to you here on this. Like, okay, I know I'm sitting here saying that all of these things that we're doing, they're only there because the Lakers were hurt. And I know injuries are part of the game, but does that really give a pass to say, well, I mean, we can't just sit there and say that that's not the case. I mean, I think we get mad because it's true. Like the Suns really are there because AD and LeBron weren't healthy, right? The Sixers imploded. I don't look at it as the Hawks won. I just look at it as the Hawks were the more in sync team, right? Like, but the Phillies better team. I don't know. It's a very strange thing.
What about when the Giants beat the Patriots? Like, I mean, New England was headed to be the first undefeated team since the Dolphins, and on paper,
I'm ready. Keep asking.
On paper, the Patriots were better. They had Tom Brady, Eli Manning.
Kev, you know how hard it is to go 20-0. That's what it was. What about they did it again, years later?
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, I just view it as I don't understand where people. Like,
we give teams in the NFL passes. The NBA, we are looking to discredit everything in the NBA more so than anything else. Like no one. Like we know that the Chiefs were not as good in that Super Bowl because of that offensive line. That wasn't the headline. It was Tom Brady's walking on water right now and performing miracles. We forget the fact that Tom Brady threw 3 interceptions and played like absolute trash in the NFC title game the week before against the Packers, right? We forget about that. We forget about how the Chiefs had Patrick Mahomes banged up, throughout the playoffs or whatever. And, he comes back. He doesn't have an offensive line. COVID's just destroying that whole roster left and right. But we forget those things, right? Like that's what I find interesting. But I interrupted you.
No, you good. I just, I don't know what the other team is supposed to do. What they're supposed to just say, like, no, we're not going to accept this championship because the other team wasn't fully healthy. I don't think any team is fully healthy when you're closing a season out. When you go through a whole entire season, there's going to be aches and pains, bumps and bruises, hamstrings, and all types of stuff. It's like I said, it's a war of attrition, and that's part of the game. The part of the game, like we talked about with Naomi Osaka, dealing with the media and everything like that. That's part of her job and everything like that. Injuries are also a part of the game, and if you can't make it through a season, that's not the other team's fault. It's like the team that actually wins the game, they're viewed in a bad light. They're almost penalized for winning the championship. Like, hey man, I didn't do anything but make the shots that were given to me. It's not my fault he wasn't out there to play defense. It wasn't my fault that Kyrie Irving twisted his ankle. Wasn't anybody's fault that AD's hamstring and knee and ankle went out. Like, I have nothing to do with that. I'm here to play. If he's not here to play, that's on them. Like, it's no sympathy in sports, basically what I'm trying to say. They're not going to be like, well, we'll wait on you to get to 100%. Call us when you're ready. We'll reschedule the game.
Yeah, but do you think that and here's kill it real quick. I'm going to ask a counter question to this. We talk, like we say these things like, well, it's part of the game. But do you really think that across the NBA landscape that Kawhi's title with the Raptors was respected amongst his peers?
Yes. Because they play in the league. They play in the same league. They understand how hard it is.
But they understand how hard, but they also understand that, he wouldn't have that time. I mean, he's lucky that Kawhi went down. He's lucky that Kevin Durant went down. I don't want to get into debate. I'm just I have a hard time believing, I don't think that the players have a separate mindset than the majority of fans. There's always going to be a pocket of fans that have a different opinion than most, and not every athlete's going to have the same opinion. But I do think that there's a good number of those within the NBA circles that not are disrespecting Kawhi, but I think look at it for what it is. Oh, man. If it's not for them going down, the Raptors aren't winning that. No one gave the Raptors a chance to win that finals for a reason. And then the reasons that they were not given a chance to win it, those reasons were taken out due to injury, and now the circumstances change. Right. So when the circumstances change, then everyone's like, yeah, well, that's not those circumstances. Those weren't supposed to be the real circumstances in that finals matchup right there. But the bottom line is, I just think that we say these things, but I think even the athletes, I think there's also jealousy amongst athletes.
Yeah,
we act like everyone's on the same page there. Damn well that Giannis is looking at Kawhi like, oh my God, stop! You're not a bigger star than me. You're just more fortunate than me. You played on the San Antonio Spurs as the third or fourth option, and now you were the number one option on a Raptors team that was very, very good, but you weren't Warriors good, but you became, the great equalizer. Injuries are the great equalizer in the National Basketball Association.
For sure.
So
and one thing that I'm starting to notice about, these super teams and everything like that, you notice even when the Heat with LeBron, Bosh, and Wade, they went to the wire. They went to the wire to win that championship versus Spurs. So you got three of the best players in the league at the time, and they had to go to Game 7 to win their championship. And then you look at how loaded the Golden State Warriors were. They were a bounce here, a bounce there away from basically being tied at 2-2 with the Cavs. So all these guys on the team, I don't necessarily believe it guarantees you a championship. I'm just not sold on that is the way to construct a team. I think the way to construct a team, what I would prefer is kind of how the Lakers are trying to do it, I guess, with the 2-man star lineup and, pieces that fit together as opposed to, dumping all your salary into 3 guys and then trying to fill it with, expiring contracts, veteran minimum type of guys and everything like that. Because we've seen in the first year with the Heat, the Dallas Mavericks won that championship and the best player on the floor was Dirk. You know what I'm saying? So, and we talked about this as well about, the big 3 in Miami. Did it work? Didn't work. I mean, they won 2 championships, so I would be hard pressed to say it didn't work. But they were 2-2 in finals. They beat OKC and they beat the Spurs, but they also lost to the Mavs and lost to the Spurs. And that last one versus Spurs, they got ran out the gym. You know what I mean? So it's I view it as a sense of, yes, this is what the players want. The players want to team up and everything like that. But in a management position, is that the way that you want to construct a team for the long haul? Because I don't these super teams really don't win like that. Even look at Boston when it was KG and Paul Pierce and Ray Allen. They won 1. They got back to a finals, but they didn't win. They lost. I didn't
look at them as a super team. Not trying to get I guess I just never when we talk about super teams like this.
They were definitely on the back half of their careers for sure.
And for that time, that would have been a super team. But I guess because we're so far removed from it, when you look at Chris Bosh, Wade, LeBron, the star power there, you look at the star power of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond with KD. And now you look at KD and James Harden and Kyrie. The star power has made that Boston big 3 just look like just a very, very good team, I guess. But at that time, that was huge. Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen. Now it doesn't seem that big of a deal because we've seen bigger stars form bigger big
younger in their career.
Younger, yeah. And that was like Kevin Garnett was with Minnesota for 7 or 8 years. I think 9.
Oh, I think
it was 11. Oh, it's 11. It was 11. I just heard this earlier this morning. I'm sorry. He was with them for 11 years before he went there for the final stretch in Boston.
And I did what I always try not to do. I try not to forget the nuances situations. That second year, Kevin Garnett had a knee injury that he missed a ton of time. And then in game 6 of the NBA Finals in their rematch versus the Lakers, that's when Perkins tore his ACL and he wasn't available for game 7 at the Lakers. And the Lakers ultimately end up winning that game and winning that series on that shot from Ron Artest and everything like that. But, I just don't know, man. Like, I know we get all caught up in these super teams and guys teaming up and everything like that. I mean, we say talent wins, and it surely does, but talent and the right combination of the talent and the right role players, I think that can get you more longevity.
Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook agree. Russell Westbrook and Paul George agree. Russell Westbrook and James Harden agree. Yeah, I think they all agree. All right, we'll step away for a few moments. On the other side, Kev Nash brings us over under plus fill in the blank. That's all coming up in our final half hour of the show. Don't go anywhere. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be cloudy and windy with showers and thunderstorms, a high near 80. Tonight's also going to be cloudy with showers and thunderstorms, a low near 53. And tomorrow will be partly cloudy, a high near 70. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Seal Coating, protecting the asphalt surfaces at your home, office, or commercial property. Introducing infrared patching, a new technology for your property. This service and more at culletsealcoating.com.
Ready for renovations? Arts Rental Equipment has the tools you need to make your home, lawn, and garden stand out this year. From brush chippers to cutoff saws, no job is too small or too big. Visit your local Arts store today. Work smart. Rent from Arts.
Does it feel like finding clothes in your fit is impossible? Tired of feeling overwhelmed with options that just aren't right? Let the experts at Stitch Fix do the shopping for you. At Stitch Fix, we make sure each piece is hand-selected for your life. So whether you're staying home or on the go, Stitch Fix has the answer for what to wear. We make it easy to find what works for you. Signing up takes just a few minutes, and styles are delivered directly to your door. Get started today at StitchFix.com. Stitch Fix, your style delivered.
Milano's Pizza Subs and Taps' new summer menu is the perfect pairing to the Big on Tap beer selection. Try your favorite craft beer with a bacon cheddar cheesesteak or a new Milano's Pizza choice. See the summer menu now at MilanoSubs.com.
D-Max, home of the Duramax diesel engine, is hiring for skilled trades and production. They're holding a job fair at Golden Gate Park in Brookville on Thursday, June 24th from noon to 5 p.m. Former GM employees are encouraged to attend and apply for D-Max openings.
Designer face masks, DIY haircuts. In a world full of things you never thought possible, here's one more. Now you can get the same high-quality insurance from Allstate, but at a new low rate. Drivers who switched and saved averaged $718. With Allstate, you can lower your rates, not your expectations. Visit Allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
Reported average annual savings from switching auto by new customers surveyed who saved with Allstate in 2019. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Not available in every state. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Hey, my name is Jonelle, and a little thing that I love about Chick-fil-A's new Lemon Kale Caesar salad is every tender, warm, juicy piece of grilled chicken. It's a Caesar salad, but it's different. You have the Parmesan breadcrumbs and the mixture of lemon with that romaine and kale. It's almost something I can't explain, but it'll make you want to sing. Lemon Kale Caesar.
Order the new Lemon Kale Caesar salad on the Chick-fil-A app today. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonial.
Hi, Pete Kasugi here to tell you that if you're looking for the very best selection of your favorite garden plants, we grow over 125 varieties of tomatoes, peppers, cabbage, broccoli, cucumber, okra, cantaloupe, and eggplants. And if you haven't tried our famous Neighbor Beater tomato plants, come out and pick up a few and enjoy the best taste you ever had from your garden. They taste so good, you'll wish you planted more. And remember, Neighbor Breeder garden plants are sold only at our garden center at 1309 Brant Pike. So get off that shovel and start digging. It's time for gardens, bedding plants, rose bushes, vines, and ground covers, shade trees and shrubs, bird baths and fountains, and so much more. So join the green revolution and come out and see us at 1309 Brant Pike.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy houses as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-362-2000, 362-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, I'll buy it. I'm a private real estate investor who can solve your real estate problems fast for cash. Do you want to sell and just be done with it? Okay, great. I buy vacant properties, boarded up houses, pre-foreclosures, and inherited properties. I also buy apartment buildings, rental portfolios, divorce homes. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. I look forward to solving your real estate problems today. Give me a call for an all-cash offer at 614-362-2000, 614-362-2000.
A relaxing drive in the country. Cornfields, rolling hills, and red barns. Idyllic. Until suddenly you approach a bad railroad crossing with obstructed views. The only warning? A crossbuck. With minimal signage, an accident can occur anytime. But you can help. Report bad railroad crossings at angelsontrack.org. That's angelsontrack.org. Because bad crossings kill good drivers. Sponsored by Angels on Track, aired by OAB and this station.
Do you have a home improvement project? Use the right tool for the job and rent from Arts Rental Equipment. Arts has the best selection from power washers and ladders to loaders and dump trailers. Work smart. Rent from Arts.
I'm CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger with a quick tip from H2O Wireless on stretching your budget and saving money every month. Start with your recurring monthly bills, and here's the easiest one, your cell phone bill. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile charge premium rates for unlimited data, when in all actuality, you have no need for that much data. H2O Wireless, on the other hand, is on the exact same network as one of those carriers, but charges you half. The average family of four is saving over $70 a month without having to sacrifice coverage. And listen to this, unlimited talk, text, and 15 gigs of data for just $36 per month. Switching is as easy as swapping out your SIM card. You can keep your phone and your phone number. Here's how to get the best deal. This month, dial pound 250 and say keyword get H2O. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Dial pound 250 and say get H2O for this exclusive offer and start saving today.
Don't wait to get a new job. Express Employment Professionals is hiring for more than 35,000 jobs. Find your local Express office at expresspros.com or on the Express Jobs app.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland & Summers. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
Reds and Twins tonight, 8:10 the first pitch, 7:40 the pregame. You can catch it all right here on Dayton's home, the Cincinnati Reds, 1410 Wing AM, after a 3-game sweep over the Brewers at Milwaukee. First place Milwaukee Brewers at that time, and right now still currently in first place in the NL Central. The Reds at that point had won 6 straight after sweeping the Rockies at Great American Ballpark, followed behind a 3-game sweep on the road at the Brewers. Well, Reds fans were becoming very chirpy. You were becoming very confident and cocky on social media. The Reds were 4 games above 500. They were 2 games out of first place in the NL Central, 2 games back of the National League wild card. I know it's only mid-June, but this is a team that's always dead and buried by the end of April, and they were making things interesting. Things are still interesting, just less interesting than what they were a week ago, and the Reds are trying to find a way to put back the momentum that they had established after taking 6 straight, 3 straight at Milwaukee, after losing 4 straight at the Padres. Look, they could have dropped 3 of 4. That would have been upsetting to me following that 3-game sweep at the Brewers. But you have to think that every time the Reds do this, every time they go on a stretch where you feel like they've turned that corner, they always have to remind you, no matter how good or how impressive that stretch was, they always have to do something just to remind you how bad that they can be from time to time, including not just losing a series, but getting swept against a good Padres team, but a Padres team that had lost 7 straight heading into that Red series. And then they lose, and then I have to hear things like, so for instance, they lose 6-4, they lose 7-5, they lose 3-2. 3 of the 4 losses, Kev, were by a combined 5 runs. And you have Reds fans who actually utter the tweets, oh, well, that was just a fun series to be a part of. You, my friend, are a loser. That is a losing mentality. At any point, and to prove it, at any point, Kev, through Ohio State's season, let's say they lose to Oregon in double overtime. I guarantee you there will not be one numbnuts out there that will actually utter the words, man, that was just a fun game to be a part of. No, you will be angry.
Livid.
You will be upset. You will be blaming the officials probably because that's what we do. But the bottom line is no one that follows the Buckeyes ever utter the words. Like, by the way, that Clemson game that they lost in the playoff years ago in the Fiesta Bowl, that was a great game. It was an exciting game.
Right.
Did anyone say after Justin Fields threw the interception to close it out, man, that was a crappy finish, but man, that was just a fun game to be? No.
Right.
Because winners know we shouldn't lose that game. Losers say, man, this is fun. And that's where we're at from a Reds fan standpoint right now, and that's disappointing. You are a loser if you actually believe that was a fun series to be a part of when you got swept. It was a fun stretch of baseball when you were winning, and you could drop 3 of 4, and I would be a little bit more forgiving. But when you drop 4 straight and get swept after having everyone praising you, I have no sympathy. It's straight back to anger. I just read a little bit ago, Kev, that TJ Antone very close to coming off the IL. That worries me. Michael Lorenzen getting closer to him returning. That worries me. It worries me that the Reds might be getting some firepower back because I think that might be the excuse the front office uses of, well, we felt we didn't need to make a move at the deadline, or we felt we didn't need to bring in reinforcements because we thought we were naturally getting better by naturally getting healthier. And I think that is the mistake that I'm terrified of, because look at what the Reds have done as of late. Hunter Green has been brought up to AAA Louisville. Okay. Lodolo's not too far off behind. I feel like some of these moves are being made in attempt to, if the Reds are still in contention by September, their ace in the hole, if that's what you want to call it, is going to be, man, we're gonna bulk up this bullpen by bringing up Lodolo and Hunter Green with TJ Antone, with Amir Garrett, with hopefully Michael Lorenzen. And I know that doesn't sound like the end of the world, but those should be additions on top of making a move at the deadline to make sure. Don't make any mistakes. Overdo it if you have to, but put this team in position to succeed, because as you've seen, they have the offensive firepower to compete with the best teams in baseball. They have the starting pitching to compete with the best teams in baseball. They have the worst bullpen in baseball. And if your goal is to be like the Cincinnati Bengals and say, we had the worst offensive line in football and now we have a less crappy offensive line than we did a year ago, you're not going to win any games. And that's going to be the same thing for the Reds. If your goal is to have not as crappy of a bullpen after July 30th trade deadline, then you're going to be as bad as the Cincinnati Bengals. You have to not just hope to get average, you have to hope to get good. And the Reds need to make sure that they're doing that come the deadline coming up.
If they do make trades, what would they give up? Would they just be giving up prospects? It's
going to have to be prospects. The problem and the fear and the concern that I have is that they don't have a lot of prospects. A lot of their top prospects are guys like Nick Senzel and Hunter Green, who are untouchable. You still have Garcia down there, who I think that the Reds, that's their plan. They're really buying time to give him time to develop so they can finally put him at shortstop. They tried it last year in a COVID-stricken shortened season at 60 games, and it didn't work out the way they had anticipated. And that's why they're trying to basically take some duct tape and put it over the holes on the sinking ship, as opposed to actually filling the holes and making sure that the boat stays afloat. And that's the problem. I feel like they're buying time for Garcia to come up. They're not going to make trades or spend money on the bullpen because they're buying time for Nick Lodolo and Hunter Green to develop. That's what I feel like is going on. But with all the trade deadline talk, if the Reds move on from pieces, my fear is it could be guys like, Jesse Winker. It could be guys like Sonny Gray, and that defeats the purpose. Moving on from those guys to address the bullpen now makes your bullpen better, and now you're weaker from a starting pitching standpoint, from a hitting standpoint, and that's something the Reds cannot afford to do. They're not the best hitting team in baseball. They're not the best starting pitching team in baseball, but they are the worst bullpen in baseball. And if you could just get the bullpen up to the level of the hitting and the starting pitching, this is now a 95 to 100. No, 100's too much. Scratch that. This is a 90 to 95 win team at that point if they could improve the bullpen. And look how many losses they've left on the table. 3 of the 4 losses to the Padres were by a combined 5 runs. 5 runs. The Reds got to get their stuff together. They got to figure it out. Kev Nash brings us over under on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Coming up next, Reds and Twins. Game 1 of a little mini 2-game series coming up later on tonight. 8:10 the first pitch, 7:40 the pregame. We'll be back in just a moment. Kev Nash brings us over under.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Do you have an old sports program, baseball, photo, ticket, or game-used equipment just collecting dust? Sports Investments wants to buy your sports memorabilia. They're also interested in old sports cards and also buying political, aviation, and entertainment items. Bring your collectibles to Sports Investments and get a fair value on the spot. If you decide to sell, they'll pay you immediately. Sports Investments is the largest buyer of memorabilia and cards in the area since 1993. Sports Investments also feature the best selection of autographed memorabilia, sports cards, and other collectible items for sale, including all your favorites like Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Joey Votto, the Bengals, the Browns, the Big Red Machine, UC, XU, UK, NKU, UD, Louisville, Notre Dame, and Ohio State, just to name a few. You'll enjoy the experience of dealing with the Walter family. Call them at 513-891-5000. Email Adam at sportsinvestments.com or visit them on Montgomery Road, right off I-275, just 40 minutes from WING.
Heard you're buying a car. I brought my calculator.
Dad, I already used Capital One Auto Navigator. I found my car online and got pre-qualified instantly, instead of all that.
You know those things impact your credit score.
Didn't impact my credit score, Dad. Now I'm going to the dealership for a test drive and to make the purchase.
Sounds too easy.
No, it's just easy. Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/Auto Navigator.
At Napa, when it comes to serving you, our motor never quits. And when it comes to getting you the part you need when you need it, with next day delivery or same day pickup, our motor never quits. And when it comes to making a difference in our local communities by hosting fundraisers and food drives, our motor never quits. And when it comes to telling you our motor never quits, yep, you guessed it. Our motor never quits. That's Napa know-how. Same day pickup and next day delivery available at participating stores and on in-stock items only.
Designer face masks, DIY haircuts. In a world full of things you never thought possible, here's one more. Now you can get the same high-quality insurance from Allstate, but at a new low rate. Drivers who switched and saved averaged $718. With Allstate, you can lower your rates, not your expectations. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
Reported average annual savings from switching auto by new customers surveyed who saved with Allstate in 2019. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Not available in every state. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Summer's here, and Rob's Beer Barn is in full summer refreshment mode. That means Rob's Beer Barn has you covered for all of your outdoor gatherings. At Rob's, you can find all the refreshments you'll need. Ice-cold craft beers, imported, local, and seasonal beers, fine wines, snacks, and ice. Rob's has it all. And if you find you're in need of any last-minute items, you can call, walk in, or drive through. Stop in and visit Rob's and stock up for the summer. Rob's Beer Barn on Indian River Road at Darst, just a mile east of the Green. Rob's Beer Barn, just look for the beaver.
You know, a few days ago while hanging out with my family, I noticed my father staring blankly at me. Something's not right, I thought. Is he having a stroke? Then I remembered to act fast, F-A-S-T, and did this quick test. F, face. I asked my father to smile. One side of his face drooped. A, arm. I asked him to lift both arms, no problem there. S, speech. I asked him to repeat a phrase. His speaking was slurred. T, time. I called 911 for immediate help. This way, he began receiving life-saving treatment in the ambulance. My father was out of the hospital in a few days, all because he made it to the hospital within an hour of his stroke. Practice recognizing the signs of a stroke so that you can act F-A-S-T, fast, to save a loved one.
This message is brought to you by the Ohio Department of Health's Coverdell Stroke Program.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus, home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well, medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Hi, I'm Sales Manager Jason High at Germain Honda Beaver Creek, proud recipient of the prestigious President's Award. We are your local Honda dealer, and we invite you to see our newly renovated state-of-the-art facility. You'll be amazed at our selection, and remember, all new Hondas come with a lifetime powertrain warranty. Visit us at Route 35, just east of 675, conveniently located near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I'll see you soon.
I'm CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger with a quick tip from H2O Wireless on stretching your budget and saving money every month. Start with your recurring monthly bills, and here's the easiest one, your cell phone bill. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile charge premium rates for unlimited data, when in all actuality, you have no need for that much data. H2O Wireless, on the other hand, is on the exact same network as one of those carriers, but charges you half. The average family of four is saving over $70 a month without having to sacrifice coverage. And listen to this, unlimited talk, text, and 15 gigs of data for just $36 per month. Switching is as easy as swapping out your SIM card. You can keep your phone and your phone number. Here's how to get the best deal. This month, dial pound 250 and say keyword get H2O. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Dial pound 250 and say get H2O for this exclusive offer and start saving today.
Right now at Wendy's, with the Biggie Bag, you get a bacon double stack, 4-piece crispy or spicy nuggets, fries, and a drink, all for just $5. That's a bag with real value. Price and participation may vary at U.S. Wendy's.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland & Summers. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
All right, we're back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash. I want to make one more point earlier about when we were saying which coaches are, that means the most, the least. And I know you said NFL coaches mean the most. The reason I also didn't have NFL coaches meaning the most is that the NBA, I have the NBA as the most important because you have to have everything. Like you can't have a weakness. If you have a weakness, it's going to be displayed. And like Doc Rivers, one of the best coaches in basketball, but his weaknesses are being displayed on a regular basis. The numbers are there to prove it, especially as he's gone on longer. In the NFL, if you have a deficiency, if you have a flaw, you bring in a coordinator to fill that gap. Mm-hmm. You look at Bill Belichick. Defensive court. He's known for his defense, right? Right. Not known for his offense. So that's why you bring in, McDaniels. You bring in, guys like that who run your offense. So then all of a sudden you look like, man, he's such a well-balanced, well-oiled machine. And the NBA is you either have it or you don't. In the NFL, you either have it or you don't, or you could have it or you don't. And the don't is, well, then I'm not very good at play calling, so I need to bring in one of these brilliant offensive play, like a LaFleur or somebody to come in and call these plays. So, anyways, that was my ADD taking over right there. But no problem. All right, Kev Nash brings us over under.
Kev Nash brings you over under.
Over under. Kev Nash, Major League Baseball is up first. What you got?
Yes, indeed. After a 6-game winning streak, the Reds got swept in a 4-game series versus the Padres. Up next for the Reds, a quick 2-game series versus the Twins, then a 4-game series versus the Braves. Over under 2.5 wins for the Reds in the next 6 games.
Well, the Cincinnati Reds are going to win the next 2 because that's what they do. You get swept by oh crap! I just jinxed him. Damn it! Crap. I should have said they're going to lose, but no. Tyler Mally's on the mound tonight. The Reds are going to get the win with Tyler Mally on the mound as long as the bull. I mean, again, that's going to be the caveat to every game. As long as the bullpen doesn't screw it up. But I like Tyler Mally's chances. 7-2 in the season, 3.39 ERA heading into this matchup. I think that if David Bell lets Tyler Mally go deep into the ball game, let him get to 7 innings. minimize the amount of opportunities you're going to let the bullpen ruin it. Don't go to the bullpen in the sixth inning, right? When you give them the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning to screw it up, that's what they're going to do. If he starts leaning on the starters a little bit more, the Reds will be a game over 500 starting tonight and 2 games after tomorrow afternoon's game 2 against the Twins. So I'm going to the over under 2.5 over the next 6 games. So you weren't really just talking about this series. I'm going to take the over on that. I think that the Reds, it's going to be at 3. They'll split the next 6, and they'll start with taking the first 2 here from Minnesota. Then you think they've rode the ship a little bit, then they'll drop 2 or 3 in the next opponent.
I'm with you 100%. I think they're going to sweep the Twins because they're god awful, just like everybody else in the AL Central. And then they'll definitely get 1 versus the Braves. The Braves haven't been on that hot streak that everybody predicted for them quite yet. So I believe the Reds will get 1 of those.
All right, next up, to the NBA we go.
Yes, indeed. The Atlanta Hawks beat the Philadelphia 76ers on the road in the Game 7 in the Eastern Conference semifinals, 103-96. And Philly's point guard, Ben Simmons, is taking all the heat for his unwillingness to shoot the ball and his horrible free throw shooting. So, over under a half a season with Ben Simmons playing for the Philadelphia 76ers.
It's been long enough. I've trusted the process long enough. Eventually, you're just taking the square peg and trying to pound it into a round hole. This does not mean, I say this all the time, I said this about OBJ in Cleveland. If we start the season and it doesn't work and they move on from OBJ, that doesn't make OBJ a bad receiver. It does not make Baker Mayfield a bad quarterback. It just means it's not a good fit. And the red flags have been there for years now that this is not a good fit, although you want it so bad. I mean, from the overall defense that Ben Simmons plays to his ability, his vision out on the floor, the way he gets his teammates involved. But there's just the deficiency with him is his ability to shoot, not just the 3, but the free throws. There's flaws within his game. Maybe it's a change of scenery, as Magic Johnson said on First Take and Get Up earlier today across the ESPN platforms. I'm going to say under. I think he does not play another game with the Sixers. I think that the Sixers need to go in the direction that you are watching. Like, I think Milwaukee's going to go there. Milwaukee's going to have to find a way to put a guard with Giannis Antetokounmpo, or at least a scoring, a big-time playmaker with Giannis Antetokounmpo, no matter how they've gotten to this point. Look at the Lakers. LeBron and AD are the best. When healthy, it's the best 1-2 punch in the NBA. I'll take that 1-2 punch over James Harden and Kevin Durant, or Kyrie and Kevin Durant. I'll take it over anything in there because of how versatile they could be with those two. And I think that that's what they need to find with Embiid. They should have did the James Harden thing. I know you said that was probably not likely as much as people think from a year ago, but if it's as simple as finding a way to maybe send Ben Simmons to Cleveland to get Colin Sexton to put with him, I'm not saying that instantly makes him a championship contender, but I think it keeps them in the conversation. They need to get a big-time playmaking guard to put with Embiid, and I just think that we've seen enough of this Ben Simmons-Embiid project. I think it's over with. I think Joel Embiid in the MVP conversation proved he was the more valuable of the two. I'm going to say under. He will not play another game with the Philadelphia 76ers.
I'm going to go, I hate to do this, but I'm push. I'm saying that Ben Simmons gets traded at the NBA trade deadline in February of the upcoming season. So he'll get a half a season in with Philly. I just think, basically, we talked about this in between the breaks, that at 10:19, when I text my best friend about Ben Simmons has to dunk that ball, that's what everybody's been talking about all day long, when he had the ball right there at the rim and he passed it to a guy that was double teamed instead of dunking the ball. And at that moment right there, I checked out on Ben Simmons. I've been a Ben Simmons defender. I've been a guy that says, like, well, in a game of basketball, you can do an array of things. And the things that Ben Simmons brings to the court, he does tremendously well. He rebounds, pass, yada, 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 all those great things. But if you're not going to shoot the ball when you're at the rim, if you're not even going to drive the lane, and that's what you do, what's the point? What's the point of you being on the team? So it's definitely a mental thing with Ben Simmons, and I think they're going to try to get him some help, to get his confidence back. But ultimately, I think he gets traded by the trade deadline of next season.
Well, real quick, last thing, a possible spot that could make a lot of sense. What if Ben Simmons ended up with let's see what happens with this Clippers run in the playoffs right now. But, you have Paul George, you have Kawhi Leonard. I could see a situation where Rajon Rondo, I don't know if he's on a 1-year deal, but I could see some kind of package deal where the Clippers send something back to be able to get. I think that Ben Simmons makes a ton of sense in LA because Paul George and Kawhi will take care of the scoring. They'll take care of everything else. I think that's he needs to go somewhere where he has legitimate weapons around him. That's why it was almost like the Kobe and Shaq thing, the much lower level because the Hack-a-Shaq was the Hack-a-Ben, and you had another big. I mean, but you look at the breakout star for the Clippers right now. I mean, who's the guy that just dropped, what was it, 30? Terrence Mann. Maybe he's part of the deal to get Ben Simmons in L.A. If the L.A. Clippers get bounced in this round, I could see them maybe wanting to shake it up a bit. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ben Simmons with the Clippers next year alongside Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, because then when you're the third option, you're not asking him to do as much. I think he makes a lot of sense with the Clippers. So there you go.
Not bad. The Western Conference Finals tipped off yesterday with the Clippers and the Suns, and it was a victory powered by Devin Booker with his first career triple-double, 40 points, 13 rebounds, 11 assists, with CP3 still in COVID protocols. Over or under one more triple-double for Devin Booker in this series?
Normally, I would say I would guarantee an over because that's the only way they're going to win this series. But right now, as constructed, no Kawhi Leonard on the Clippers, no Chris Paul on the Suns. The Suns are the better team right now.
Right.
So I don't think it's going to be necessary. I mean, of course, if you could get a triple-double, you always get. I don't think it's
as Ricky Davis.
It's not desperately necessary that he gets it, but I think he's good. I think he is a smart enough basketball player that he is going to do what is needed on those nights. It's not like I don't think that they are desperate for him to get a triple-double every night, to where there's some stars that they're going to live and die by what he does. I don't think that's the case here. This is the most well-balanced team remaining in the NBA playoffs right now. So I'm going to say under, but again, it's just one of those where if it happens, cool. I'm going to say under, though. I just think he's going to be a big scorer. He's going to have to get a lot of assists. I think the rebounding is going to be left up to a lot of the bigs when need be. We'll see.
I'm going to go with the over. I think Devin Booker is going to have to be in a position where he's going to have to do these things and basically run the point guard position and be relied on to score the basketball a ton with CP3. You know, with COVID and everything like that, I read a report that every player that contracted COVID-19 in the NBA was out at least 10 days. If he misses 10 days, that puts CP3 at a potentially only playing in Game 7 if necessary. So Devin Booker is going to be granted the opportunities to rack up the big points, to be out there dropping dimes for the assists, and obviously, you know, rebounds, you know, he'll be there for that as well. So he has the opportunity to get that because he's going to be the guy asked to run the show. So I'm going to go with the over.
All right, and we're out of time to finish up these over-unders here at the bottom, but we'll add these to tomorrow's list. But there you go. Kenner rambles too much, and we can't get into full over-under. But the old Kenner would have said, let's keep doing it. We'll go right up to 6 o'clock. Growth, which is not much that's said about me, who's 5'5". So there you go. All right, folks, have a great night. Appreciate everyone who tuned in, hung out with us here this afternoon. Nolan Russell on Facebook says you play to win the game. Going back to our conversation about the Reds, you play to win the game. None of this, that was a fun series to be a part of. Theo Mims, shout out to Theo. Hope all is well. He says things they are going to trade him and come back to destroy the 76ers. That's always the hope for the storylines on TNT and every Christmas Day games and all that stuff. That's always the angle. Kev, have a good night. We're off tomorrow. Reds baseball, 1:10, the first pitch tomorrow afternoon. So we're off. We'll be back on Wednesday. Mike Golick Jr. going to join us. We'll also get more from some ESPN reporters on what's going on with this NCAA ruling that came down from the Supreme Court today. We'll get to all of that later on this week. Until then, enjoy the Reds game tonight. Enjoy the Reds game tomorrow. We'll be back with you on Wednesday. It's the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
It's the Justin Kinder Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.